What's going on, everyone? Can you all hear me? Someone in the chat, please let me know. I'm not an avid live streamer, so. Hey, sweet. Yeah, you guys can hear me. Awesome. StreamYard's kind of, I don't know, it's interesting to learn how to do it and stuff like that. I'm not super versed in all of this. So, no, it's fun. How's everyone doing? Pretty crazy times when we're excited about Mayer's #1 guitar returning. It's just kind of like, who would have thought a couple years ago that we'd be this hyped over the black one returning? I think it's pretty funny. Isaiah, Alex, Elliott, Adrian. What do you guys think of the Gravity performance? I'm curious. Hey, Adrian. Yeah, thanks, man. It's fun just to live stream. I've missed chatting with you guys. Like the 2 times I've done it, it's been a really good time. Just be honest, we've all played Gravity at least 5 times since the black one has returned. I've never learned the whole thing, actually, which is pretty dumb of me, to be honest, but I've never learned all of Gravity. I kind of just played a little bit of it and then was like, all right, it's fun, but it's just like a long time to learn, a lot to learn, I guess, and I'm a little bit impatient. But yeah, maybe I'll actually learn it and deep dive into harmonic trem as well, because the London guitarist, I know a lot of you guys follow him. He just got a Victoria Reverberato, like the original like OG version, and the harmonic trim in that thing is absurd. It's super good. So like for me, maybe that's something I'll get and buy if I ever do like a JM3 rig or something like that. Ruben, you're too kind, man. I'm just doing my best over here. How you doing, Mark? Nice to have you on the stream. I thought it was awesome. I have a chance to see him in Chicago on the 18th. Wondering if he'll break out the black one again there. Chicago's always a pretty good show from what I've seen when they do the performances in Chicago. Like when he does Madison Square Garden, the Forum, usually Chicago, Boston, those cities from the footage I've watched, because you know me, I've watched a buttload of footage. They're all very good. And then like the O2 Arena, and the one in Amsterdam as well are always usually pretty good shows. So if you get a chance and you haven't seen the solo tour, I really liked it, to be honest. It was a lot of fun. Just like a different vibe of seeing John, just him on stage. But the banter with the crowd, especially I feel like as the shows, like the tour goes on a little bit more and he gets comfortable with going on stage and talking with everyone, I think they're pretty cool. Some of the set lists have been a little safe, but I mean, it's just a good night of music if you can get like decently like affordable tickets and stuff and not blow the bank. Wish you would have done the outro with a loop or two. Yeah, that would have been cool. It would have been interesting for him to like loop a little bit quieter and then play the guitar on top. But I also like just hearing the pure lead tone. And that was really it. I thought that was nice. But I could have done with a longer outro solo, because it felt short, even though it's just him up there. And I guess that's maybe why he wanted to stop playing and do it a little shorter. I could have used a little bit more. It would have been kind of cool. Hey, James, how you doing, man? Your video of Steve Miller and what guitar that was. I'd have to look at it. I haven't watched any of the footage of John with Steve Miller yet, actually. I've had a crazy few days, and I stayed up super late to make that black one reaction kind of video. So I was like, I need to get this out immediately. But after that, I haven't watched any footage and stuff like that. I've been crazy busy lately, and I've barely even watched the whole like actual Crossroads performance. I think I've watched it once, and that's it, just to make the video. Watched it. It was like, all right, make the video and then go back. Black one coming back is crazy. Since the neck twisted, I assume would be vaulted, or I see the 64 first before that came out. I'm so glad to see the black one. My favorite Mayer tones are on that. I think you're not alone. Most of people's favorite Mayer tones are with the black one, but that's an interesting point. He brought out the black one, which is cool for Gravity. That makes sense. It's the Gravity guitar pretty much for all those continuum tones. But the 64, there's nothing wrong with it. So why is John not bringing it back out? I don't know. Well, maybe we'll see on the next big tour. We'll actually see some shows. where he brings out more Fenders and stuff like that. It'd be nice. Hey, Adrian, I'm attending LA in November on the 10th, and maybe he brings it back out again. LA is a really good bet for a lot of shows that I found. The one thing that I know, someone commented on my video where they talked about it, was that they felt bad for the people who attended night 1, where it was still a good show, but night 2 just objectively was better, let's be honest. And that was kind of like my thing with LA when I went for Sob Rock. I went night 1, and it was a good show. It was the first time we saw John doing, I guess I just feel like, with the Charvel or the Jackson, which was really cool. But then the next night he played Assassin for the first time in forever, and then Clarity as well, which is, most of you guys know, is my favorite song ever. So I was just a little bit like, oh, damn it, like I should have gone to both nights and seen both, because a lot of cities he does like those 2-night set lists, they're going to be different, stuff like that. But LA's a good show for him bringing it out, I think. It'll be interesting to just pay attention to the next few shows and see if we see it again, or if it was just a one-time thing. Family Guy clip was shown only once, as far as I know. It was shown once, which was kind of a funny thing. John being just kind of cheeky and stuff like that with some of the stuff he does. I think you go back to Fender. I'm not a PRS fan. Honestly, I don't think he'll ever go back to Fender, the way that whole story kind of went. If you guys know the story of John and Fender and kind of how it all went down, I don't think he'll ever go back, really, to be honest. I think he's very much deep in with Paul and their relationship and kind of friendship and mutual respect that they have. I think that's something he's just going to continue. If he leaves PRS, I feel like he might just never be an artist for anyone anymore. I think he might just stay with doing his own thing, so to speak. But PRS is not for everyone. I get what people say when they're a little bit sterile and they can be just a little bit too perfect almost. And that was kind of like my whole thing with my own guitar journey, was that I had my Mayer signature Strat, which was my first Strat really ever. Then I got the Silver Sky, which I loved, stopped playing the Strat, so I sold the Mayer Sig. And then I ended up missing having a Strat, so I sold the Silver Sky and got this thing behind me. And there's something about a Fender where it's just the way it sounds and the way it feels when you play it. It's hard to describe, but playing certain songs, even on a Silver Sky, I always had a little bit of a harder time wrapping my head around it. I don't know, it's dumb, but that mental block is there. Or if I went to go play certain things, it just felt weird not playing it on a Strat, because a Strat's a Strat. I don't know. We'll see. I just hope that, like John has said, when they did all like the promotional stuff for the Silver Sky when it came out, it's meant to coexist with Strats and Fender guitars and be played on Fender amplifiers, which he did for a bit, but now it's just been all in on the Silver Sky. So I'm kind of like, John, come on, man. You said it's meant to coexist with these things, and then you've shelved everything for the Silver Sky, which I get. He's all in on it right now, but I just hope, I've mentioned it a lot of times in my videos, hopefully he does, where he goes back to having an actual like equilibrium and kind of balance with everything. Like John always goes out for night 2. If I remember correctly, LA night 2 for 2019 was the entire Continuum album. Yeah, I'm pretty confident you're right in saying it was night 2. I think it was night 2 at Madison Square Garden too, actually, which in hindsight was a rookie mistake, me going night 1. I think when he dropped the tickets, I just got so excited. Night 1, clicked on the first one for LA, which is an easy show for me to go to. And then I was like, we'll go, but definitely try both times. But I mean, just going once is good. But if you can make it happen and swing it, I'd say go both nights. Good music, good times, maybe get nicer seats one night and then just attend the other one a little bit cheaper, or however you want to do it. Do you think the Gibsons will come back at some point? L5, 335, and SG. I wish the 335 would come back. That guitar is crazy. It's super cool. But like, if he was going to bring it back, you'd think Crossroads would have been the time, because it's literally an Eric Clapton Crossroads 335. And he's mentioned how the 594s have really taken over for that kind of sound for him and how perfect they are. But it's kind of like the same thing. It's not a Gibson. It's not going to have that same sound. Nathan, thoughts on the Till the Summer Comes Around, the Mike Campbell Duesenberg star player? That's pretty much the only reason why I want a Duesenberg Mike Campbell star player. I've mentioned it a few times on the channel as well, but literally that performance with Keith Urban and John Mayer is probably my single favorite Mayer thing ever outside of the trio. Just the way him and Keith sing together, the way they harmonize, the way their guitar playing just complements each other. It's so good. That whole performance is just, it's my favorite thing in the world. And a lot of people who I've introduced to John Mayer, when they're kind of a little bit hesitant, especially if I know that they're country people, I show them the collaboration with Keith Urban. And then everyone's like, okay, wow, that's really special. Even Sweet Thing as well, because of the guitar duel kind of near the end. And then you see Mayer rip a little bit of SRV when they both start to play a little bit faster. But man, I've really wanted to do a deep dive on that tone actually with that Duesenberg, because a part of me thinks it's the Pete Cornish NG2 and then his finger picking is creating that kind of tone. But I don't know those, I think they're Filtertrons or whatever's in there. They're two different pickups, I think, in those guitars. I don't know enough about them, but either a Duesenberg Star Player or a Wildcat. Well, no, I keep calling it Wildcat. It's the Wildfire guitar. The Black Cat or whatever. You guys know the guitar I'm talking about. I eventually want at least one of those. I did add a Duesenberg to my collection. But that's on the long list of a few other guitars I want first before getting one of those things. Hey, Mr. Bean, I seriously doubt he'll ever go back to Fender. Like I said, Fender is nowhere near the same company as it was years ago. It's much more of a corporation. PRS and Paul are better fit. I agree. If there's a company you want to work for and like, well, not even work for, have a partnership with, definitely PRS, I think, from someone like John, just the way they've treated him. You know, when Mike Eldred left, that was kind of a huge blow to John's relationship with Fender as his go-to guy and friend. So I don't think he'll ever go back to Fender as well. Does the SRV strike at the Strat tone? I mean, it does and it doesn't. Like Texas Special pickups are interesting. They're not really my thing, to be honest. It's kind of just cool to have a Stevie Ray Vaughan Strat as part of the collection. But in my custom shop, I have hand-wound Texas Specials right now. And they definitely, when you play it, you can feel a little bit more of the SRV thing in what they do. But those aren't that's not my sound that I like. So definitely I'll swap out the pickups. But if you want an SRV kind of sound, I'd say the SRV Strat's a pretty good bet. Just even having the hardware where the bridge is reversed. So you have like a left-hand trem on a right-hand guitar is kind of cool. Nod to SRV. Yeah, they're pretty cool. I mean, you could argue if they're actually worth what you pay for them in regards to like another guitar. Like Squires are great guitars for the money. But yeah, it was pretty special getting my first custom shop guitar and actually experiencing the custom shop for the first time. It's kind of cool. They're really cool. And just the ability to kind of make your instrument more your own, which is what I was going for in the long run. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? What? Hey, Brad, your custom shop Strat looks great. What are the specs? Neck, finish removed on the back, etc. 1 second, I'll grab it for you guys. All right. So I haven't talked about it on the channel. If you follow me on Instagram, which is just my name, Justin Jeske Guitar, I've posted about it a little bit. But this is a 2023 custom shop limited edition 64. Strat. I have no idea what makes it limited edition. It just says limited edition on it. So, but yeah, it has slight lacquer on the back of the neck. I wasn't really super keen on getting one that had all the finish removed on the back. I'd like to kind of just break it in a little bit myself and see. But the specs I at least was looking for was 64 design with the correct logo on it, like Mayer's with the actual old school spaghetti logo. Little bit of flame in the neck. Well, that angle looks like a lot. Depending on the angle, it can be a lot or not much. But the right fade of Sonic Blue as well, the actual finish and everything like that. And then the pick guard and the pickups, I'm going to change out eventually. But yeah, it's a straight, essentially like a 64 replica is basically what it is. Yeah, I love it. It's honestly, it's a really cool guitar. And that's something to make myself. And now, not unlike the Silver Skies, if I ding it or anything, I don't care because it's very light relic on it. So it's like if I do anything to it, it's like just part of the guitar's aging process. What pickups do you recommend for getting the black one tone? Someone talked to me about Abigail pickups. I'm not the pickup guy, in all honesty. I lean on my friend Tommy at Tommy Guitars. See, just like that. When I ding the guitar, I don't really care that much. But I'm going to put it down. Tommy's a really good resource for Black One pickups. I mean, Genesis and Foley both make Black One clones from the 83 Master Belts that John Cruz did. That's probably what I'd recommend. They're expensive, but if you buy other pickups, you might go down the rabbit hole, buy, sell, lose money on them, buy another pair, sell them again, lose money on them. It's like buy once, cry once kind of deal with those replicas. Either the Genesis or the Foleys, I think you'd be sitting pretty good. And Brendan just got here my message. You think we'll ever see the 64 Strat come back? Yeah, eventually. Like I said in my breakdown of the Gravity performance of the Black One, I wouldn't have bet that we see really any Strats besides the Monterey this soon. Maybe next tour off the next album. We'll see. I think it could be interesting. I think we'll see it sometime soon. I already got one. Thanks. Maybe eventually if I get 2 TS10s, but I'm kind of downsizing my gear collection a little bit right now. Just to try and, see what else is out there. Yeah, that performance with Key Solo and Gravity was really awesome. I think we saw a new neck in the Black One. I just find it hard to believe the neck is warped bad enough. He doesn't want to play, but can still bring it out on a night like that. I think, and if you watch the documentary I did, John mentions that the neck's a little bit twisted and it's not perfect, and kind of how he says, that's life and it is what it is. I don't think it's twisted enough that if he plays it once every other night or something like that, I think it's workable. He had 3 different necks or 2 different necks made. No, yeah, 3 necks made by John Cruz, I think. And he didn't like any of them. So it's if the guy who built the guitar makes replica necks and John notices and they're not different and it's worth keeping the warped one on. I think at this point it's playable enough for the odd time he does it. But I think if it were to return to like full playing, like few songs a night every single night, he would probably end up looking to get another neck built. But John isn't with Fender anymore either. So I don't know who would get to make another neck for him at that point. John Cruz SRV #1. I found a clip of it. Yeah, but one of the tone compares to the Black One. Very similar. Very similar. Yeah, that was cool. Him playing Home Life again. A lot of the songs off Heavier Things I really like, and I think they're super underrated. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are about Heavier Things as a whole. Clarity is my favorite Mayer song and arguably my favorite song ever, just because I have a very special relationship with that song and what it means to me and stuff like that. But Heavier Things as a whole, I think, is a very underappreciated album, and one that just gets overlooked. There's a lot of great songs on there, though. Come Back to Bed, even, which, when's the last time we performed that? I don't know. Speaking of Heavier Things, too, we actually got a rig rundown of what John had in the rack at that point. So I'm making that video at some point here, probably for next week, and it'll be up on the channel. But Matt, who's Moose Guitars on Instagram, found an old Japanese magazine from 2004, translated it, and found that they did a rig rundown on everything he had in the rack unit as far as pedals. And there's one shot of the rack where you can make out a few of them, but it has a list of what's all in there. And it's a lot of stuff that we never even knew John used. He probably has one of everything, but stuff we just never assumed that he actually knew. That's from before Duesenberg Caribou. No, it's what is it? The Double Cat. That's what it's called. The Duesenberg Double Cat, the wildfire guitar. That's what it is. Yeah, the whole paint thing and the whole story of John building the okay, camera, don't okay, there you go. Autofocus was going up there for a second. I didn't want to touch on it in the documentary, the Black One, because I didn't want to really provide a lot of just speculation into John's actual involvement with the build of the guitar. But I feel like there was a bit of, I don't know. I'm not sure if the body he sprayed is actually the body they used. That's a theory me and a few of my friends have had for a while. It's kind of like, did he actually use the body? It just seems like a bit of a weird thing they did with that and John's involvement when he was doing that stuff. I'm not sure how good of a job he would have done spraying the guitar. So if you're building a guitar from Mayer, you want the paint to be perfect. How perfect is he going to get the paint on spraying the body? I don't know. The new acoustic is very polarized, and the more I look at it, the more I love it, and the more I hate it. Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing for me. I go one day, I'll look at a photo of it or see John playing it live, and I'm like, oh, it looks pretty good. Next day, I'll look at it and think, I wish that it's. I think overall, a lot of people wish that it's something different. Be curious to know your guys' opinion on those acoustics and how they look. seeing John play it makes it a little bit more special and a little bit cooler, but at the same time, I don't know. I would have loved if they went down like the Belza Bianca and Belza Nor, like the Clapton signatures, those acoustics, if they did like a black one for the OMJM and then a white one for like the OM 45 style, the more expensive limited one. I think that would have been cool because so much of the promotional stuff John's done has been with that Belza Bianca, and he's like barely played it. So they're just kind of weird that it's a guitar that we've seen a lot, but we haven't seen a lot, if that makes any sense. I'm going to do another video too, diving into those guitars and John's use, just because I think it's very interesting, all of the promotional material we've had with those guitars, but then they've barely been played live. I think he played it a couple of times a solo tour. Nothing crazy. I looked into Radio Shop, the black one pickups, heard some clips of them being played. Love the sound. I think that's another good option. I have no experience with those pickups. If you're looking for the black one sound, I just know that Genesis and Foley have like made one-to-one replicas of what's in the 83 Masterbuilt black ones, which probably are the closest thing to what's in John's actual black one guitar. Chris Buck, who I'm a big fan of, he used Radio Shop pickups though, and he had like a signature set, I think, right? So if Chris Buck was working with them, I'm sure they're pretty good. My full-time content creator? No, I'm a part-time YouTuber, part-time guitar gear collector / player a little bit. No, not my full-time job. I wish. That's the dream, to be like a Rut Shaw or like someone big, where like, or at least like have it where the channel is enough to kind of like support like a lot more of what goes on, and I could do this even like part-time and then work like part-time or something like that. That'd be the dream, right? But I just do this because I like it and it's fun, honestly, and it's fun just connecting with you guys and stuff like that. I'm getting a little bit behind here, but I'm gonna try and catch up in the chat here. What cables am I using? Ernie Ball instrument cables, and then I'm using Free the Tone solderless, the old version that they don't sell anymore, and I stocked up before when they announced they're discontinuing them. Probably gonna get some Pete Cornish ones here though, because cables do matter to some degree, but I think it's just as good as just a half decent cable. That's all you really need. Unpopular opinion: Philip Sace makes a Silver Sky sound better than John Mayer does, coming from a huge Mayer fan. It's probably a pretty unpopular opinion. I think it depends on what you go for. Philip Sace makes it sound more like a Strat than I think John does. But he's like SRV reincarnated almost, just the way he plays and everything. It's crazy. He just has a different attack and feel with these guitars that I don't think a lot of people have, even John. Friends didn't like John Mayer because they're Swifties. Then I kept playing Why You Know Love Me is a Joke. Then I got stuck in their heads. Now they love John Mayer unironically. Yeah, Swifties are interesting. Why You Know Love Me, he'll never play that song, which is kind of sad at this point, honestly. It's kind of crazy. Currently, I have a TS-88 ratio running into all the Mayer style pedals. Can I get a good tone from it? But we're splashing up for TSN. I mean, if you really want a TS10, what John has, and kind of like a little bit of a collector's thing as well, then go for a TS10. A tube screamer is a tube screamer. They all do the same sort of thing. They're just different flavors. Yes, there are differences between an 808 and a 10 and a 9, depending on how much time you spend with them and everything. Can you hear those differences? Some people say you can, some people say you can't. I think any tube screamer at the end of the day is going to get you that tube screamer style thing. And my best advice to all of you guys, because I've done it and kind of gone really down the rabbit hole a lot, is focus on your amp first, your cabinet, your speaker selection, because that all makes the biggest difference in your tone, besides obviously, these things. And then work out your guitar situation, and then focus and worry about the nuances between an 808 and a 10. I don't think it's that big of a deal to stress out about, as long as your amp situation and everything's sorted out. That'd be like my biggest advice. Everything's is super underrated. Only Heart might be my favorite song from John, and I use that song to warm up almost every day. I should learn that. That's a really good tune. And that's awesome. I'm glad you agree that it's super underrated. He played Wheel from Heavier Things Night 2 at MSG. Yeah, Wheel's a really cool song. He did it, acoustically Night 2, right? And then he did it once or twice electric solo. That was pretty cool. I love that. If you guys haven't seen the footage of Wheel from Madison Square Garden Night 2, it's really cool because there's a guy who's holding up a sign the entire show for Wheel, and John's watching him, knowing that it's the second last song of the night. And then he does this whole thing where the camera guy, he picks up the set list and he's like, oh, look, scroll all the way down. Here it is. It was on there. And I just knew you were going to like lose your mind because it was coming eventually. And I was purposely almost like ignoring you or whatever. It was just funny. The banter that John does with the crowd like that, I think is really cool. And it feels and seems very, very genuine, which I think is rare for artists these days. The way John is connecting with the crowd at these solo shows. You just can tell he's genuine. He's happy and he's doing a lot of stuff. I'm with that. Have I ever considered making Ariel posing gear content? No, I've never talked to Ariel about the channel, even to be honest, and stuff like that, because it's, you know, I just I don't know. It's all online. Same thing with Chris Bach. Like Ariel, Chris Bach, are two of my other favorite guitar players ever, and you just find it all online. They're very open about it, so it's kind of like I just be restating a lot of stuff you can just find elsewhere, and I don't really see value in that, to be honest, either. But it's kind of, you know, whatever you guys want to see at the end of the day, which is mainly the Mayer stuff and a little bit of Frusciante, but JF has got nothing going on right now. It's been all kind of a little bit boring, not a ton of craziness going on. Your opinion on Mike McCready? Very similar style to Frusciante Mayer. Love Mike McCready a lot. Pearl Jam's probably the #1 band I haven't seen live yet that I want to see. Massive Pearl Jam fan since my dad introduced me to them when I was a kid. 10 is just an absolutely brilliant record. It's super cool. Alive is my favorite song for a very long time. Yeah, Mike McCready's cool. He's a really cool dude as far as his playing and everything goes. Big fan of those guys. Any evidence of John using the Solo Dallas outside of the 2013 Paradise Valley tour? So Solo Dallas, if it's the Storm you're referring to, that was the 2019 World Tour. He used it for his performance with Mayer and PRS. I think it was at the Grammys. Other than that, I haven't really seen much evidence of John using it there. So a video of the Try album, because there's only video of Wait Till Tomorrow and Gravity from that night. So I misspoke if you're referring to the Gravity comment I made in the, I think it was a Sonic Blue history video. That was the wrong night. It sounds very similar, but if you compare them, they're different. There might be footage, because there's a little bit of footage of Who Did You Think I Was from the night they didn't play or record it for the album either. So I'm sure there's footage somewhere in a vault. But whether or not we'll ever get to see it, I doubt it. That's one thing I've always been desperately searching for, to be honest, is footage of the actual night. Wait Till Tomorrow is the only one, though, that we have from that one. Yeah. Well, we got a few of you guys here. Please hit thumbs up. Comment, help the algorithm. All hail that thing. And sorry, I'm sipping on my Starbucks coffee. It was a hectic day at work, and I was a little late to getting my morning coffee at like 3 p.m. You think John playing Fender guitars this year is a sign of something? No, I don't think so. I think it's more just John is going out there and trying to, you know, play what he feels like. But right now he's so in on PRS and the Silver Sky. It's just a treat maybe for him too to go back to the sounds of old. Crossroads and Madison Square Garden Gravity performances were saying, you think he used a C2 for either performance? I don't think he used it for Gravity. I think that modulation is just the harmonic trem from the Flint. And then for the MSG Gravity performance, I'm not even sure if there is chorus on the board. I haven't seen an update. I actually haven't looked as to what he's got going on for the new pedal board just yet. I think it's probably just straight tone. I didn't hear any chorus personally in the Gravity performance from MSG, but I looked at it super late. So that yesterday, I guess. Yeah, days are blending together. Hey, John, how you doing, man? When's the, I'm not sure if you've told everyone what you got coming for your videos up, but is it coming soon? I know it's on its way to you. John's got something really cool coming for his channel and everything. If you guys don't follow John, you guys should. His fractal stuff is the best on the planet for Mayer stuff. And yeah, he's got some cool toys that he's going to be experimenting with and trying out. Think we'll ever hear the old songs, Trio from Try come back, like Another Kind of Green, I've Got a Woman, and Try. I hope so badly. I would spend ungodly amounts of money if John ever did a true trio tour again, like super small venue, all those songs again, maybe adding like certain songs like Crossroads, everything like that. I hope so. That, like, for me, was the huge thing for the solo tour, was the fact he played Good Love Is on the Way once. I was really hoping to at least even hear that again. And it was funny. I don't even know what I was doing exactly for research purposes, but I went through and was looking at set lists from the 2017 trio performances, and he performed Who Did You Think I Was and Good Love Is on the Way actually 80% of the time. And I didn't get to hear either of them when I saw John on the 2017 tour, which was, a big bummer to actually realize that I missed out on that. And because those are the two songs we're most likely to hear, besides Gravity and Vultures, which I guess, yes, technically they are trio songs, but they've become more than that at this point, and I think they're a little bit of a cop-out to call them trio songs at this point. Hopefully, but I'm kind of doubtful at this point. If he barely played them for the 2017 trio shows, I can't really see him bringing them back at this point, sadly, to be honest. Thoughts about Fender Custom Shop 69 pickups with black one tones. Hear about the new Fender Vintage or Fender Pure Vintage 61. Don't know much about the 69 pickups. Like I said, I'm not really a big pickup guy. Tommy, if you DM him or ask in the group on Facebook and tag him, he's your best bet for anything pickup related, honestly. And haven't looked at the Fender Pure Vintage 61 yet. I'll have to check that out. I think John has never played Les Paul except as a joke on Kimmel, maybe because it's heavy. He played a couple Les Pauls during the Continuum era as kind of the Heart of Life. I think it was, or for some song, a little bit during the Continuum tour, barely. Maybe that's a video I can make, but he played them a little bit. But I think just for him, if he's playing a Bucker guitar, the SG, maybe a bit lighter, something he's used to. The Access as well as Pauls are very difficult to play just because your access to higher frets is just pretty much non-existent. And that's the main reason why I don't play mine that much. Like, where is it? This one, behind me there, the 1971 Deluxe with the mini humbuckers. For Chris Buck, Cardinal Black stuff is brilliant. Chris always plays the 22nd fret almost every solo. I can barely hit that note on that thing. And I was asking my friend Jake Loosemore, shout out to him, how do you play your Les Paul and how do you access that last fret? And he pretty much just said, you don't. And I was like, all right, that's what Jake's saying then. You don't really. I think they're just not the funnest guitars to play unless you're Slash. Thanks, Corey. Any chance we can see a video on where John's pedal influence came from to Screamer SRV? That'd be really interesting to go down and do a video on John's influences, because a lot of people that I chat with kind of a lot about the Mayer gear thing, especially my friend, the London guitarist, he's pointed out a few times to me the connection of John and David Gilmour, where you'll see David Gilmour's played a lot of pedals and stuff and like just gear in general. And then you see John using it. And it's almost like it happens enough times where you start to question almost if it's a coincidence or not. They both just have great taste in gear, so it genuinely just could be that. But David Gilmour uses a lot of great pedals, and then you see Mayer using them, like the T-Rex, the replay, replica from the trio. Something David Gilmour used a lot. There's a lot of crossover with David Gilmour and stuff, so maybe it'd be kind of cool to go over certain influences of pedals where Clapton influence comes in with the S335, the Soldano, stuff like that. Even though I don't really listen to Clapton, to be quite honest, or know much about his gear, but that'd be a cool video to do like some of John's gear influences and go up there. Someone telling me about the guitar that John uses on Bold as Love on Where the Light Is. I don't see any info about it on ground guitar either. That guitar is a 65 hardtail. That's the one, right? Guys, help me out in the chat there. That's that hardtail, right? Bold as Love. That is the I might be getting the year slightly wrong. But it's a hardtail, and it's got the big headstock as well with the transition logo on it. I'm just doing it all by memory, so apologies if some of the details I'm not getting are spot on, but that's a really cool guitar. That's the same guitar he used for the Keith Urban Crossroads performance of Sweet Thing, because that guitar lives in E flat, and that's what Sweet Thing is done. Because I tried to learn John's parts in Sweet Thing, and then I realized very quickly, wait, he's playing it in E flat. So that's kind of a cool thing to see that guitar. I'm in there. I'll probably do a mini documentary. There's not that much to talk about that guitar, but I'll do a video on it for sure. That's on like the long list of my notes section on my phone of just videos that I have to make eventually when things are a little bit slower. I think the DM101 will stay on any of John's boards. Will replace the chrono as his go-to for longer delays. Maybe. It was kind of weird to see him experiment with something other than the chrono. I don't know. We'll see. I wasn't a massive fan of how it sounded at Crossroads, to be honest. So maybe he goes back to the Providence chrono. I think he should just bring back the TES, to be honest, or the Delay 80s and have it set multiple times. Like, he doesn't use tap tempo that often, so he doesn't really need it that much. Wonder how Mayer's rig would change if you moved to only Gibson scale humbucker guitars. Yeah, that'd be interesting. John really going with buckers a lot more. I guess see him doing a little bit of the Bonamassa thing, even like some like Marshalls, kind of running a bit clean, a little bit more gain on them, a little bit more amp distortion, maybe, if we're talking about actual humbuckers. But over and over on the Wong Notes podcast. So what are your thoughts? Heard it. Really cool. Hopefully that's something we get at some point, but I don't know if we'll ever get that song released. Might be like a kind of thing where it's just certain songs stay in the vault and you'll just never get to hear them, unfortunately. See John's performance of Mercy. I think it's like Battle Studies Aeratone, which is great, and it's very SRV heavy. I don't know if I've seen Mercy, actually. I'll have to let me open up a little notes section here. If you guys have got any video ideas you want me to make too, put them in the chat, and I'll make a note of things to check out and to do for you guys. When did you first hear John and it stuck with you, taking you to where you are now? From Corey. All right, I'll give you guys a little bit of a story while we're going in the chat and everything. So I first heard John Mayer, and there's conflicting details on this between my dad and one of my friends, because my dad's very adamant that he introduced me to John, but one of my oldest friends is very adamant that he introduced me to him. But either way, someone introduced me to John and was like, hey, you got to check out this John Mayer guitar guy. But I vividly remember one of my friends who is just very gifted with musical instruments, Spanish guitar, piano. We had a mandolin at my house growing up, and as a joke, my dad, when we were like maybe like 11 or 12, my dad was like, oh, if you want to stay for dinner, because he knew my friend was a very virtuoso musician, can you tune the mandolin up for me out of like the storage and learn how to play I think it was a Rod Stewart song, Maggie May or something like that. And then in the hour long before we had like a steak dinner, he learned how to play it and had it perfectly tuned and everything. And it was just a big joke. But I remember him telling me, dude, you got to go watch Where the Light Is and check out Neon. I think I was in grade 10 at the time. And Battle Studies had come out a little bit after that. So I missed the boat on seeing John for Battle Studies. But I was like, dude, like that's the kind of like, literally I thought he was the Jack Johnson guy. And I was very much a Jimmy Page / Velvet Revolver was my favorite band at the time, favorite albums. That was my favorite stuff. And he was like, dude, he's like, trust me, you got to just watch Neon. So I got the Where the Light Is DVD, plugged it into my Xbox, and sat down and watched Neon. And then I just watched the whole thing. Once I saw Neon, I was like, oh my God, this guy's nuts. And then the trio hit, and then that was it for me. Once I saw the trio stuff and realized that's what a guitar can sound like, I just connected with that sound a lot more than any Les Paul kind of stuff ever did. And it stuck with me pretty much from day one. And then it's just slowly been an influence of me getting more and more passionate about the guitar, caring more about gear. Because at the time, even a few years after, I thought a distortion pedal was a distortion pedal. An overdrive was an overdrive. And when I discovered that pedal show and really got into it, that was very eye-opening. And yeah, so quite a few years now at this point, but it's kind of when will the Keith Urban Silver Sky get realized? Will it be a Strat or a Tele PRS? It'd be interesting to see if they ever do something with Keith Urban. It's kind of interesting how Miles Kennedy did the Tele kind of thing, and then John's done the Strat thing. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to see them do like a just Keith Urban version of the Silver Sky, knowing how close John and Keith at least used to be. Hopefully they still are. It'd be kind of cool to see him go and get his own signature version of the Silver Sky. John Mayer, Keith Urban signature. That'd be cool. Yeah, 66 hardtail. Okay. Yeah, that's the guitar that he used for Boldislav. I'll do a video on it at some point. How's the Black One neck warped? Like, in what way is it warped? From Lump 171. I assume just the neck itself has like twisted a little bit. Like, I think, from what I know, I'm no tech or anything like that, but when the neck starts to twist, I guess like it actually just starts to go off center, and all of a sudden it's not like the fretboard's not straight in line with the body. It's, maybe a little bit up or tilted down. I don't know. If anyone's an actual tech, put it in the comments of what actually is going on. But as far as I know, that's exactly how it just happened. It's just tilted off its perfect axis, I guess, a little bit. And so it's obviously it would be a lot more difficult to keep it in tune, the intonation and everything like that. But if it's not super bad, it's still playable. And I think you can kind of like sand down the fretboard, like the rosewood, you could sand it down to like make it even again. But how it feels is never going to be the same, I don't think. Is this a fair statement? John probably shares a distinction with SRV. They've probably motivated more bad guitar tones than any other guitarists from people chasing their sound. Yes and no. I mean, I think John at this point has inspired the most people of anyone in the modern era. I think that's the given. So therefore, maybe, as people try and figure out their sound or play and learn how to use gear, yeah, maybe there's been a lot of bad and not ideal guitar tones. I think, yeah, I think that's kind of fair. That's funny. That was a good one. Alex, you say the Octopus gets lost in the mix, push me over the edge, sound like carbon copy and get an L cap. It does. If the moment I think you start playing in a band mix, you don't really hear it that much, to be quite honest. Do I run mine always on? And I have it set a little bit actually for a shorter slapback than John does. So it's really just a tone thickening thing, more so than having that distinct Vultures-esque slap. But yeah, you're really never gonna hear it, to be honest. Like, I think that's a fair statement for that slapback. Yeah, the L cap is cool. There's a really great video, if you guys haven't seen online, of the L cap being shot out against a P Cornish TS, and it sounds pretty good. As far as stuff Strand makes is always great, actually. Mick, I actually asked John Cruz about Mayer putting the Black One in the freezer, and he said that it would do nothing but damage. So there's no way of sent him broken. Cruz said it's no way. It's the weirdest thing, right? Where you have John, no reason to lie, like John Mayer, saying this is how it showed up to me and he had to do all this stuff. And then you have John Cruz. No real reason to lie. Well, I guess maybe he's got a reason to lie, maybe because it wouldn't look good on him if he sent John a broken guitar. But I don't think John Cruz would have sent John Mayer a broken guitar. I don't think that's just possible. You'd have to be kind of crazy to do that. And I don't think John Cruz would have done that. So it's just weird, the whole saga of the Black One, how there's all these little things and little stories where information just really doesn't make sense or line up. And I think everyone loves a good story. So I think we're getting always maybe half of the truth there. Maybe something did happen where Renee went to put a dummy coil in, and then something happened with the ground, and then John really, barely getting the guitar, put it in the freezer, and then, Renee had to look at it again, and then it started working. When they did that interview too, it was like 2010, 2011, I think. So a few years had gone by too, so maybe John's details on exactly when Renee touched it and had had his kind of hands on it to experiment and set it up for John are a little sketchy. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just like adds to the whole myth and mystique of that guitar. Chula Vista version of Mercy, and saying, okay, I'll put Chula Vista in my notes. That's actually a really good point. Surprised we didn't see his Jeff Beck Strat come out as like a tribute. If John was doing a full band show at the time Jeff Beck passed away, I think maybe then we would have seen it. But he could have maybe done something on the solo tour for Jeff Beck. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I never actually thought about that, about our odds of seeing that Strat come back out as a tribute. Maybe if he plays a show on the anniversary of Jeff's passing, we might see it. I don't know. Which guitar of John's is my favorite? That's it. That's an interesting question. What's your guys' favorite guitar of John's? I'd be curious to know what you guys all think. And I feel like the 64 and the black one are going to be the two most popular. I don't know. I've always had a thing for blue guitars. Ariel Posen plays a blue guitar. Just, another player that I really am a big fan of plays blue. It's always been a thing with blue guitars for me. It's always been my favorite color since day one. So maybe his Cruise Masterbuilt Sonic Blue. The 66 Hardtail too is pretty sweet though, just because of my association with it from the Keith Urban performance. The 64, I don't know. They're all great. I don't really think I'd have to think about that for a bit. And from Bill, first, thanks for all you give back to the guitar community. Hey, no problem. I'm just happy to meet you guys and hang out and have fun and make content that you'll enjoy. It's amazing that you guys actually like and watch what I do and stuff. It's a lot of fun. Has John ever utilized alternate tunings or spoken why he typically stays in standard tuning? No, I don't think he's ever spoken about it, as far as I know. He's not like a guy like Ariel who plays an open C, open E, all these really weird tunings, baritone, standard. I almost think you're either one way or you're not. You either use different tunings all the time and multiple different guitars for each tuning, or like Ariel, capos for the open tunings, or you pretty much stay in standard. And I think as far as maybe from a songwriting perspective and his vocal register, even maybe standard's just always been a great spot for him to sit. I don't know. I'm not a songwriter, or nor do I sing. But that's just kind of like my thought process behind it. Maybe that's why standard sits a bit better too. And E flat for the SRV thing a little bit, but I don't know. I don't think he's ever touched on it. But then it's like, how do you come up with the tuning and use the tuning for Something's Missing? That tuning is absolutely absurd. I think it's the same tuning for Gimme Shelter as well from the Rolling Stones, but he kind of comes a little hot with the odd tuning. Is John still hoard NOS tubes? I have no idea. That was a really cool kind of thing. The whole hoarding thing that he did. I wouldn't be surprised when they were saying that there's going to be tube shortages with Russia and all that crap. Or at least he's like, see you guys, I got a bunch of them. I'll be fine. Greetings, Tony. So it's tweaking for the hybrid too. Blackout Japan. Anyone else? I don't know what that is. What you're referring to, Tony? Can you elaborate on that? Hey, Mark, how you doing, dude? I saw Chris Shiflett talking yesterday about bringing out a production model of the cleaver he's been using. Thoughts? Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool to see a production model of the cleaver. The one I got there is really cool, but I've really been wanting a P90 guitar, whether that's a Novo or whatever, a Rev Star even. But I've wanted to get like a P90 guitar to add that to my kind of collection and what I have. A production cleaver model would be really cool. That would be pretty cool to see from Chris. So that's the blue one. It's sick. Yeah, I mentioned this on the video already, but it's my new edition that I haven't really talked about on the channel or anything, but it's a 64 custom shop. Yeah, it's my number one, and I think it's going to be my number one for a long time. I kind of call it jokingly the blue one, like BLU1. it's like, oh, I'm going to go put the blue one. And it's pretty straightforward for more or less the only guitar I really pick up at this point. From Ron, any insight about John's relationship with Two Rock and what happened? It's out there. If you want to know what happened with John and Two Rock, you can Google it. You can find it online. All I'll say, and like Eli is really great. The new owner who used to work with Two Rock, he's done really great things with the brand, and I know he's very, very much trying to help repair that relationship and right some of the wrongs, I guess, of previous ownership, so to speak. I don't want to touch on it too much, just out of respect for what he's doing. But essentially, John and Two Rock agreed on certain things, the number of Mayer signatures that they would produce, and it's not really what ended up happening. So understandably, John was a bit upset about it, and their kind of relationship got damaged. New ownership has taken over now, and they're taking responsibility for it and trying to right some of the wrongs, which I think has gone a long way. It's like John playing his custom reverb signature number 83 again, and just his relationship with Turok as a brand. You can Google it if you want more details, but essentially, yeah, they just very unfortunate, but that's kind of something that kind of went down back in the day. Any recommendations on a blues breaker cell circuit for around $100 to $150 USD? How expensive is a used carbon from a Brown amplification? That would probably be what I'd suggest if you can get one for affordable. Or the JHS Morning Glory. I think that's in the range. Those would be kind of two that I'd look into. To be honest, I don't even own a blues breaker right now when I really should. But those would be the two that first come to mind. Hey, Peter, what's this stream about? I don't know. We're just hanging out, talking. It's been a while. The black one came back. I just was like, I got nothing going on this time. Let's hang out and talk. A Strat. Just any single coil pickup or guitar will do good. Could you Mayer pedalboard build with affordable pedals that you might have even used, like the Jeff Archer TS808? That'd be dope. It's something I've considered doing. It's just the logistics around doing a build like that. Number one is it's still going to be expensive, and I don't really want to spend money on that for one video. And then number two, I actually am in between. We're actually having a recording setup to be able to even do tones right now. I don't have the aux anymore. I've been wanting to get an actual mic set up, not only for my voice, but for amps eventually, to be able to go back and start doing more demos and stuff as I've been practicing, taking lessons, trying to be a better player and stuff too. Maybe one day. If like Sweetwater, anyone knows it, I know someone at Sweetwater, but if Sweetwater ever wanted to sponsor me for a pedal board build that was affordable, sure, I'd be down to immediately. Same kind of one there. When you have John's financial resources, how do you not just buy all the gear? Exactly. I'm sure he's like, the dealers he works with, they just know anything that comes out, put it on my tab and send it to me. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is. Yeah, some favorite guitars there. Monterey Strat 64. It's black one with that alligator silver sky. That's really cool. SRV signature is underrated for sure, especially like the first John Mayer guitar almost that people, that John actually first started using. John wasn't a fan of his black one neck replacements wise, and he had a silver sky neck carve custom built for his black one. Wouldn't be the same. And I'm not sure how things would go down if he did something like that. I feel like at this point, it's like if he can't find a replacement he likes, he's happy just playing the silver sky. I feel like he just is, it's not worth his energy or the effort of potentially doing, ruining that guitar. Do you plan on keeping the Bandmaster now that you have the Vibreverb Elliott? That's a very interesting question. I've been actually going through that debate myself over the past 2 days probably. And I might sell the Bandmaster, in full honesty. The Vibreverb's just an amp I've been searching for so long. Since the day I got the Vibreverb, which is what, January of this year? God, time goes by so fast. I haven't touched the Bandmaster, to be honest. I just haven't. It's a fantastic amp. I was wanting to do some work and modify it to maybe double specs. With my amp tech, we'd found some forums and got shots of a double Bandmaster, and we were gonna do it, but I just was lazy and haven't pulled the trigger. But now I'm like, maybe I'll just sell it while it's in good condition, pretty much all original, sounding great. The Vibreverb is just fantastic. It's honestly, they're both really good, but I do prefer the Vibreverb, if I'm being honest. That thing is just, it's so good. And the London guitarist just got Jake Loosemore's Vibreverb, and same thing, he's absolutely loving it too. Do I know if John ever watches my channel? I wouldn't be surprised. John has kind of said, I think, that he even browsed his own subreddit, or used to browse his own subreddit from time to time and go on forums and stuff like that. But, like Josh Scott and I have talked just a little bit. I know he's watched some of my stuff. People that are kind of close to John. And I feel like I'm like somewhat sometimes that next degree over, where it's like, okay, Josh Scott, someone who's in Mayer's Inner Circle, next degree over is John. I wouldn't be surprised if he's aware of it. And he loves to troll people about his gear and stuff like that. And he knows we all do it. That's why he does have the stuff he does, just to mess with us, I feel like, and make us work to actually figure it out. I wouldn't be surprised if he does or not. I'd be very interested to know what he thinks of my channel. I think in some ways he might be like, okay, like, I don't like people knowing what I'm using all the time, so stop with the pedal board breakdowns. But then hopefully he'd see like the BLK1 documentary I made and be like, wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that might be. That might be really weird tuning as well. Hey Jordan, do you remember the neck shape Tommy used on his black one that John said felt just like his? It was a Wildwood 10. So it's whatever neck shape Wildwood uses for the Wildwood 10 guitars. And I think Wildwood 10 is almost what I bought for my first custom shop, because I feel like they're just, you know what you're going to get with the Wildwood 10. You know you're going to have really great pickups in it. You know it's going to be a great guitar. Pretty much almost all of them are great. So there's Wildwood 10, whatever they use on their those guitars. Hey the Panda, are you planning on getting the matte black Silver Sky PRS releases one next year? I have no plans. I never played two different Strat style guitars when I had them. I had three at one point because I had the reverse headstock, maple board Strat as well. I never played that thing. I just sold it. Right now, I just want to focus on getting different guitars that expand me as a player as well. Maybe something like an REL Posencaster, Mulecaster kind of thing, because then it'll kind of expand my playing and my knowledge, and it's almost a different instrument at that point. That's kind of where I'm at this point with the gear I want to get, is kind of round myself out a little bit more and follow other influences and stuff like that. Isn't the MXR Duke Tone a blues breaker circuit? Don't have experience with it, but maybe another cheap option. Yeah, Duke Tone for sure is blues breaker, at least based. Like the King of Tones started off as a blues breaker and then it moved to kind of its own thing. But yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah, Tommy's the man. Tommy is such a great dude. Honored to call him a friend. Yeah, it was really, he was very instrumental in me making that Black documentary. I kind of had all my notes together, sent him the very early draft of the script, and he was on vacation in Italy. And he's like, I can do it when I get back. I'm like, yeah, no rush. Then for his late night reading, he goes in and he edits it and kind of has some suggestions, maybe things I should add and talk about. And it was amazing. He's the best. A very great knowledge resource. At Tommy Guitars on Instagram if you don't follow him. He's great. Sup, Gabe? How you doing, man? We've just been hanging out. Nothing really going on. Gabe, it'd be awesome to do a collab, actually. Every time we hang out in LA, we always are like, before we hang out, hey, we should do a collab or something. And then we just hang out, which is always nice. But maybe one day we should do one where you try and teach me theory. And we'll just, as a laugh, we'll see how that goes. Because I barely know any theory. Best advice for making a one-to-one black clone build. Be very careful of what builder you go through. I'm not going to name any names, but some of them I just haven't heard great things about from people who have owned their products or dealt with them. Do your research, read the reviews, find a source that's good. I have never gone down the rabbit hole myself. Maybe talk to people who have done it. Go onto the John Mayer Gear Lounge Facebook group, look up people, or even post a comment, ask people who've done it. That's probably what I would do, and then get their advice if they like the builder they worked with. If they didn't, what are things they do differently in the process? That's probably the best bet and the best kind of form place to ask people who have done it before, to be honest. 2-Rock still, for sure, Jared, but the Vibroverb is like, you know, Vibroverb's here, 2-Rock's here. It's very good. It's a very, very good amplifier. It's almost 2-Rock good, I'd say. Not quite, but there. Where do you think the PRS relationship goes from here? It feels like just releasing different colors, Silver Skies get a bit old if you continue down that path. I don't know. That's a very interesting question. Where does John go from here with the Silver Sky? It's kind of its own thing at this point, and they're just going to release new finishes. Spec updates. Maybe eventually they do certain modifications to it or change it a little bit, but I don't know. A combo PRS amplifier would be cool. Like a smaller 20-watt, 40-watt amplifier would be cool. Maybe they develop a new guitar, successor to the Super Eagle, or like a Honey sort of amp, or a guitar, sorry. I don't know. I don't really know there are many avenues. Like, what would they do to modify it? It's changing what it is at the core. I don't think they're ever going to change it or anything. Why don't he use a JMod anymore? Because it sucks. For everyone who I've known who's owned one, never really liked it that much. Sucks I was just being funny. Okay, don't quote me. The amplifier doesn't suck. But it's not a Dumble. It's not his Bandmaster Vibroverb. It's not his 2-Rock. They've designed an amp for John that ended up he just trying to make it sound like, from what I know and kind of what I've inferred from it, to sound like his other amps. Why doesn't he just use his other amplifiers? I just don't think that amp was a big success and everything. And I think that's why. All-time favorite live tone of John's. Straight Mayer stuff, I'd say In Repair at Webster Hall. That solo. That whole performance. Probably my favorite out of all of them. Favorite Mayer tone that's not from an actual like Mayer tour, Going Down with the Rolling Stones. By far. That lead tone with the black one is just stupid good. And the first time I just watched it, I pretty much did like the Shaq meme when he's on Hot Ones. I was like, wow, that lead tone is, I think that's probably actually my all-time favorite Mayer tone, but it's not from his tour. It's like a one-off performance. On the Long Notes pod, John said, if you saw the colors of Silver Sky I have at home, it would blow your mind. What do you think he has? Maybe Sunburst? As a joke, probably. I'm sure they've tried it just to see. As like a, hey, I wonder what it would look like if we did do this. And then they were like, yeah, we don't like it. I'm sure he's got all sorts of colors. I think he said he's got like a pencil yellow and an eraser pink, or he has thought about doing it. Yeah, that's what I think about that. So I wouldn't be shocked if James is here right now. We're not half as hooked on this stuff as him. He is the biggest advocate of not being a gear guy for being a gear guy. Where he's like, I don't care. Like, where sometimes some things he'll say, or he does things to make you think he doesn't care about gear. But then all the little changes he does, all the little things you see about with his gear and how meticulous he is, you know damn well he's a gear guy at heart. He just is. He's not just putting together amps for a rig. He's not just putting together a pedal board for, just no care. He's the biggest gear guy of them all. Oh, there are lots. Neon, first one that comes to mind. Who knows if I'll ever learn how to play it. I suck at finger picking. I don't play acoustic guitar ever. I barely finger pick. I'm trying to get better at it, but Neon is just to play it properly with these two fingers. That's way too hard. So anyone you hope John joins on stage for like to the solo tour, and why is it Keith Urban? A tour between the two of them would be amazing. John and Keith doing like each like a set and then them together at the end. How incredible would that be? That would be such a phenomenon. I've always wondered why they never even did a small run of shows together in the States. I think it'd be kind of cool for artists to collaborate like that more often. And the way the two of them sound at Crossroads, I think is just proof that, they should. But yeah, Keith Urban, pretty big one. Eddie Vedder, who John said is kind of his like biggest musical hero at this point, I think, and kind of the person he'd freak out the most if he ever met in person or if he ever walked in a room. I think Eddie Vedder would be really cool. That would be probably a top 3 pick. Yeah, that was cool. The was it the Mets themed one, the Charvel? I don't think he used it at Madison Square Garden. Did anyone see him use it? I feel like I would have been tagged or sent a bunch if he had used it. Yeah, Gabe, teach me triads. That's a running joke we have with Gabe, actually, is all the triads, which I know all of them, and I'm very versed in triads. Hey, John, big fan of your channel and all the amps you got, man, and the videos you make. Check out John's channel, everyone, too. John finds his music. He's got a wicked collection. Got some really amazing tones in his videos. Definitely worth checking out. If you had to build a mini Mayer board, which pedals would you choose, not counting a tuner? If you're playing in a band, a clean boost. If you're not, forget it. If you're making a mini board, save the real estate. Blues Breaker or Klon style overdrive. Tube Screamer, of course. Long delay. if I had to pick 3, that'd be the thing. I know John always puts the octopus on a small board if he makes a small like mini pedal board, but forget the octopus, do longer delay. I think you'll have more fun with that, those 3, or than anything song specific like Trem for Gravity. But that'd be kind of my thing. Genuine question from Corey. I recently bought a twin reverb and waiting on it to arrive, wondering how you think it would be at playing John SRV, Rory Gallagher. I think pretty good. I'm not very versed in the twin reverb. If anyone's got insight on twin reverbs, let me know. Any Fender amp I think is going to sound great. Headroom's kind of the big thing that they don't have, but if you don't really need the headroom, then it shouldn't be a non-issue that much. Yeah, it is. I mean, my Starbucks addiction. Yeah, it's good. A little watery, but good. Yeah, maybe they do that kind of thing, hardtail as well. I think that would be funny to see. What's your favorite speaker? Mine is the Josh Smith SIG from Eminence. Such a great speaker. I don't know enough about speakers, honestly. Like, I don't have enough experience with them to have a favorite. I'd like to get an EV and try that out. I'd like to experiment with them more. I'd like to even almost compare like the G1265s to the 2-Rock version, because I think 2-Rock cab is probably my next major purchase, to pair with the TC instead of the J-Mod. But yeah, Josh Smith, anything from him, I'm sure is going to be very well thought out and sounds good. His Leslie tone too is my favorite Leslie tone in the world. His and Ariel Posen's from the Eventide H9, fantastic. That'd be wicked if they ever collab together like that. I think that'd be really awesome. Yeah, U2 and Pearl Jam are the 2 bands I haven't seen live yet that are just like I need to see at some point. And I've looked into tickets at the Sphere in Vegas for U2, and then I was like, yeah, I'm okay. I'll wait till the next tour. They're absurdly expensive, but yeah, Pearl Jam would be amazing. It'd be cool if Mayer played with Pearl Jam during one of the that'd be amazing. And kind of funny if you are a fan of Red Hot Chili Peppers, where we have Josh Klinghoffer, who was Frusciante's kind of stand-in until he returned. He's now with Pearl Jam a bit. Just kind of cool, that connection as well. But Pearl Jam, yeah. Mayer with Mike McCready on stage, I think could be really fun, especially with Eddie Vedder's vocals, which I think Eddie is one of the best vocalists in kind of rock and roll. He's amazing. That'd be really cool. Not sure what that was for, Gabe. I'm a little behind still, but yeah. What's up, Justin? Thank you for your work you do. You're much appreciated. Much love from Guam. Oh, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's amazing. When I went and saw Ariel's show in actually it was a city a few hours away from me. Someone from Germany was there and was like, hey, you're the Mayer Gear guy on YouTube. And I was like, oh my God, just the fact that there's people from around the world who watch my stuff, I think is very amazing. So thank you. I appreciate you as well. Think they'll make a black one version of the PRS. What would the design look like? Maybe an NOS one I could see as like a very, very oddball limited edition thing, but I don't think it would ever happen. I'd bet very heavily against it if I needed to. Brock of Flower 1, I need more production hardtail strats. I'm currently building a parts caster so I can have a hardtail. All the strats I've ever owned have been hardtailed before I ever play them. That's what I did with Line. I've decked it. And something about having a non-hardtail hardtail that I like, having the ability to play with the bar if you need to. But I think there's something to the resonance and everything with decking it and having the springs in the back. Those raw vintage tuners, by the way, which like Ahmad and Brian and a bunch of my friends suggested me to use, unreal. Those springs. Why did I say tuners? Springs. They're amazing as well. If you guys haven't checked them out. Did I do a video on my Vibroverb? If no, can you tell us about it? If you did do a vid, I'll look it up after this. I've done a video doing a deep dive on Mayer's Vibroverb, which I did immediately after I bought mine. Just as, you know, got one. Okay, now I really have the motivation to do a deep dive and research on Mayer's one. I haven't done a video on it. Essentially what it is a reissue of the 64 Vibroverb, and they included the mod that Cesar Diaz did to Stevie Ray Vaughan's Vibroverb. reverbs, which essentially increases the gain. And I don't actually know what it does. I've never used it. I've heard it's really good though from friends of mine who also own one. But it's got like that SRV mod essentially that you can flip them back, and then it also has the ability to use either solid state or tube rectifier. Yeah, it's pretty much just a reissue with some bells and whistles, hand wired, which is always a plus. It sounds great, honestly. It's a nice heavy portable amp, but compared to everything else I own, it's the only thing that I have that's really portable at this point. But it's cool. Maybe one day I'll do a video on actually the sound when I get a proper recording set up and everything like that. Thanks, Tony. I appreciate all the kind words, you guys. It means a lot. That'd be cool to see that as well. I think that'd be cool to see that collaboration. I haven't played enough custom shop guitars to even have like a feel of like the average and how good they are. Knowing mine, what I have spent what I spent to get the guitar. Yeah, I would have. It's kind of like the debate, are vintage guitars really worth that much? Depends on who you ask. I doubt vintage guitars are actually worth what they cost, but for what you get, they're great. But a master built Strat is probably better than a better guitar objectively than a vintage Strat. I think the technology and everything that they have to build them now versus the way they built them back then and the little care they had. I don't know. I don't think they're necessarily worth like 4K plus when you're comparing them to like a Squire. Is the custom shop Strat that many multitudes price wise better than a Squire? No, I don't think so. So in that standpoint, I'd say no. You're probably better with a nice like made in America, nice level like 2K. That's probably where the sweet spot is. Ron, ever noticed John use a single coil bridge pickup tone? Can't recall any particular time. In the Black One doc I did, there's one where he's performing Palestine, Texas with, I'm forgetting his name, but if you look up John Mayer, Palestine, Texas, he uses the neck pickup or bridge pickup, sorry, on the Black One. Then very rare. Sometimes I've seen him, I think, do it for like Vultures and certain performances when he's soloing. But yeah, it's a rare thing. But that's the only example I can think of, guaranteed. That's the bridge pickup off the top of my head. Toemaster from Fender, although digital, the classic look, do you think they hold up the actual tube versions? I've never played it, so I can't say. When it comes to like solid state versus tube, I'm someone who I literally at one point my amp was a Line 6 Spider. As you know, kind of, well, that amp's kind of become a little bit of a meme, but that was my only amp at one point. And the moment I switched to a little 10-watt Fender amp, it was like a Vibro Champ or something like that. I just could feel something different with it. If you're comparing straight tone, I feel like the tube versions, they do have something even feel-wise that the solid-state versions just don't get. But if you need something that's affordable, very light to carry around, especially if you're someone who's gigging, people in the audience won't know the difference. I think they definitely hold up in certain aspects, for sure, and are sometimes even the better choice than a big, heavy, loud tube amplifier. What guitar do you think John used for Another Kind of Green on the Tri album? Probably the Tri Strat. Is that what he used during the one, was it the Bowery Ballroom performance of Another Kind of Green? Let's find out. I'm also running my Canon camera as my webcam. So I gotta drink more coffee. I feel like my brain is just not working. The battery is saying it's getting very low, so I'm gonna have to change the battery out of it in a minute here. Unused. Oh, he didn't. Well, that's right. He didn't perform Another Kind of Green during the Bowery Ballroom performance. Okay, never mind. Also, the Tri Strat then is probably what he used. If you had to start doing videos on another guitarist the way you did with John, who would you choose? That's a hard one. Because like I said, my biggest influences are Mayer, obviously. John Frusciante, not as much as he used to be, quite, if I'm being honest, as much anymore. My sound's very much kind of turning into the cleaner kind of styles and the Marshall-y thing. But Frusciante for sure, Bonamassa, Chris Buck, Ariel Posen, a little bit lesser extent Joey Landereth. Kind of like the main ones right now. I don't think there's anyone that I'd really talk about, because I need to have the passion to order to do this, because all the research I'd done and everything and learning about John's gear was just to satisfy my own curiosity and to help me kind of figure out what gear I wanted to try out and experiment with, and just for fun, because I just thought it was interesting. I need to be someone that, in all honesty, I had that passion for, and for their sound and their gear and everything. Yeah, I don't know. I've always kind of thought that maybe Bonamassa would be kind of cool, just because of his gear. Mainly the amps and the guitars are just, there's so many Dumbles and vintage Fenders and vintage Strats and vintage Les Pauls. There's just a lot to unpack and a lot to talk about. And he's always kind of changing it up, what guitars he brings out. From a gear perspective, Bonamassa would be kind of cool, but you guys need to kind of have the care as well, because if I start making videos on someone no one, at least around my following, cares about, then that also impacts the channel actually quite negatively. I'd more be interested in slowly transitioning to also talking about me and just talking about gear myself and sounds and stuff like that. But I got to get more confident as a player first before I start doing that stuff as well. But right now, Mayer is kind of like, it's what I know, and it's authentic, the knowledge I have and the care and the passion I have for him. Where if I did someone else, even like Mike McCready, for example, if a bunch of people are like, do Mike McCready. I like Mike McCready a lot as a player, but I just don't have the passion for his gear. So if I did the research, it'd be almost a little bit inauthentic. And I never want to come across as just doing stuff to make content. I want to kind of make the videos I want to make and talk about the stuff I want to talk about. And how I've gotten to know all you guys and kind of have this community on YouTube is through my passion for Mayer. So I don't think I'd really choose another one, to be honest. Frusciante was the one that I had the other passion for, but last video I put out for Frusciante bombed, and I deleted it because when it's tanking that bad, it actually can impact the channel getting views from other videos and YouTube pushing the other videos, the way the stupid algorithm works. So when they do more Frusciante stuff, I'll do that dive again, because I do really like his sound, and he's someone who's inspired me a lot, especially in the past. But yeah, right now, not them. Constant custom shop guitars, they're like diamonds. Are rocks really worth that? No, but yes, because the market is, if you sell your custom shop Strat, you won't lose money. No, and thanks to a few really good people, I got a very good deal on it too, to be quite honest. So yeah, but I don't think this one I'll probably keep for, I think, a very long time, if not almost indefinitely. I love this guitar a lot, and I bonded with it quite a lot when I first got it. And a few solos all the time I had, there's a spot any given Thursday solo where I hear him switch to the bridge pickup. Probably. I think he uses it a bit more than we all think. It's just finding that footage and that specific sound at that time. It's probably a little bit tricky. Why'd I pick a J-Mod cab over the standard 2-Rock 212? It's a question I kind of asked myself right now recently, because I really want to move to 2-Rock cabs. I think it'd be cool to have 2-Rock, at least one 2-Rock, one J-Mod, and one Alessandro cab, kind of like the big three, and kind of to have around and to experiment with and get to almost experience all three cabs together, or shoot them out, would be really cool. It's just what John was using at the time, in all honesty. It's what John was using at the time. And then I remember years ago, before I got my 2-Rock even, I had the cab sitting here when it first came out. A store in Canada sold the head without the cab, and they'd been sitting on it for a while. And I called them up about it, and they put it discounted a little bit. And I was like, listen, like, do you guys got any more wiggle room on this? Because you sold it, the head, separately. Then they're like, yeah, it's been sitting in there months. And I'm like, hey, well, you're not going to sell it probably. You need a very specific buyer. And I got a really good deal on it. And it's what Mayer was using. And you guys know me, especially, I tend to gravitate to what John is using at the time, just for fun, even, honestly. It's not even because of, like, I have to have what John's using. I just think it's fun. And he's a very good person to kind of vet gear. And if John's using it, well, odds are it's got to be pretty spectacular. So that's kind of why it was what John was using. It was a new thing, and I kind of thought the PRS J-Mod amp and the J-Mod cabs would be a bit of a bigger thing than, to be honest, they are. I kind of predicted it to go a little bit more like everyone's going to want these cabinets, these amps, and that's not the way it went at all. But the cabs are actually very good. The London guitarist, he's ran it with his Mesa dual rack. Really liked it. I've ran my Marshall 2203 through it, and it's a very good cab that kind of does it all, very well rounded. So I always want to keep one, but the Two Rock, the look too, is just something special about it. Okay, yeah, bridge there for shutting down the Hotel Cafe. Gordon rain off Thanksgiving Thursday. Okay, yeah, I think that's why he does too. Do you know when the enclosure changed in the Mark 1 Octopus? I noticed lots of them have the faceplate that sits between the side panels. My AP2 number 300. Oh, it's awesome, Elliot. They got same as me in AP2. Has the face that covers the whole top. I don't know. I haven't done a deep dive enough to like get a hard kind of date on when they changed. If I ever did a biopic, like a Josh Scott biopic on a brand, it probably. Oh. Told you guys the battery was going to die in my camera. Okay. Sorry, just got it charging underneath the second battery. Yeah, I didn't expect to be on here for this long, but I'm having fun talking with you guys. Sorry, where was I? If I ever did a biopic on any pedal company, it would probably be way huge the vintage side, because I love a lot of those pedals, and I've been fortunate enough to have some hands-on experience with a lot of them. Later on, I know that. I wonder what serial number of mine is. 1 second, let me check. Okay, mine. I can't even read that. It's like the brush aluminum is just so fine. Where it is, I can't even read it. I'd have to look or pull it apart at a separate time. I think it was kind of later on, probably in the late or time of the production run of them. But circuits inside is the same, luckily. Yeah, now that I think about it, that you actually don't see it in the Bowery Ballroom performance, I wonder if there is any footage of him ever playing it. Maybe something I have to try and look up. Tony, without passion, nothing happens and makes us less wealthy and gives us a reason to pick that strat and tell you up. Yeah, it's the passion's all it is, man. I know. Really hope Cardinal Black does a US tour. Hearing Chris live would be an out-of-body experience. Yeah, I really want to see Cardinal Black live. I'm very happy as well for Chris Black that he's actually got like a band that really seems to be doing well. And like Buck and Evans, I never really listened to that much, but I always just followed Chris online and loved his playing. Cardinal Black, I think they're a fantastic band, and I hope that they do US and Canada. If they did only US, they would be a band I'd fly to the States to see, actually, for sure. Because Chris Buck, one of my favorite songs right now is Where Did You Go? Where Do You Go? Off of the new album. It's weird. They call it Where Do You Go, right? But the lyric is where, I don't know. The lyric is weird in it. No, maybe he sings Where Do You Go? I always thought it sounded like he didn't sing Where Do You Go? I thought I always sang Where Did You Go? But yeah, that's probably one of my favorite songs. That, Terra Firma. Yeah, fantastic. Sucker, it's an unreleased from Heavier Things. Ready your head cover around that era too. No, I'm going to add. That is something I need to go check out. Never listened to that before. All these kind of rare songs of John's that he kind of did that we never got. They're all pretty cool and to watch and stuff like that or listen to. The UI Miss as well was one that a lot of people really wanted him to release that he never did and probably never will. Hey, Corey, thanks so much, man, for hanging out. That's awesome. I'm glad you had a good time. Appreciate you staying up so late, man. That's crazy. One day, if the Martin OMJM 20th anniversary one, even the Gray Burst, honestly, if it was a production one for a full year, maybe somewhere next year, I could see myself justifying buying that. Especially from seeing the solo tour, my connection to acoustic guitars really grew from just experiencing one guy and an acoustic guitar for an evening. kind of opened my eyes a little bit more to acoustic guitars. But at some point, I'd like to get just a nice Martin, maybe. I don't know. It's guitar pedals and effects. It's so much fun and playing loud. It's something I really like, and I don't know when I will. One day, for sure. Maybe when I have a kid too, and I can't play super loud. Maybe I'll get more in acoustics then. What do you think it would take to release another phone live performance like where the light is? I'm surprised, but also not surprised another one hasn't been released by now. I know, it's too bad. I really was hoping that maybe one of the Continuum nights even would have been recorded professionally and released, like a very special show that he's done. And that's probably the most special one in years that I can think of that John has done that's worthy of being recorded, unless he did, just a night of a tour. John has said as well that he doesn't like live albums, even because people just go on YouTube and that's your live album now. Why would he waste the time to do it, kind of was the gist pretty much of what he said. So given his stance on it, unless the record company or whatever was really pushing for him to do it, like his management team or whatever, I think he's moved management teams and stuff too now. I don't know. If they were really pushing for him to do it, which I think at this point he's so independent now, he's got no one to tell him what to do, which is great and where he needs to be. But at that point, with no one really pushing him and no one was forcing him to do it, I don't think it'll ever happen. Mayer doesn't ever use the JMod amp or cab. Do you think he really likes it? I think it's interesting that when they first made the JMod cab, he was still, or the actual amp, they were still tweaking it, and he was getting it updated from PRS and tweaked as he played with it, I think, to get it to sound more how he liked. The cabs he was using, at least for Sob Rock, they were custom made 112 JMod cabs with a JMod cab in the center, just with no badge on it, which is kind of weird, but maybe John just likes the cleaner look, because even with the Alessandro cabs, he played them with only the top center one with an Alessandro badge on it. So maybe he just prefers the clean, no badge look, like logo on the front of the amps. But yeah, now they're gone too, and it's back to Two Rocks and Alessandro cabs, which is pretty crazy as well, and I'm here for it. I think he liked it. I think it's just different things for different tours and stuff like that, but I feel like just based off his choices and how little he did use them in the grand scheme of things, the Alessandros are probably his favorite. I think most of his better tones have been when he's used Alessandro cabs. Not that really we can pick them out, but just coincidentally, I think a lot of my favorite Mayer tones are with Alessandros. Where did I get that Heartbreak Warfare portrait? That was a gift from my parents, probably when I was in grade 10. Right when I kind of discovered John Mayer and really became a fan of his. They got that, I think there's a place in the what's the hotel in Vegas I'm thinking about? Not the Bellagio, the one in The Hangover. Why can't I? Caesar's Palace. There's like a celebrity autograph kind of memorabilia store. And actually my dad went in there once and met Leon Spinks, who fought Muhammad Ali back in boxing years ago. He watched him as a kid, so that was a pretty cool moment for my dad. Just a story about that place. But they just came home with that, and it was just something they had matted at the store, hanging on the wall. And right when Battle Studies came out, and they just came home, and they're like, "Hey, this Christmas gift or an early birthday present or whatever it was." And yeah, it's got the custom Heartbreak Warfare logo matted on it, a photo of John with the Jeff Beck Strat that's signed by him, certificate of authenticity for the thing, and a little custom Mayer mat with what I think underneath the words is actually a Mayer Sunburst Sig Strat. I'd have to look at the headstock, but that's just what I've always assumed it was, that I'm looking from a distance. But yeah, they got that for me, like, obviously, like back in 2010 for me. And yeah, we just have it hung up on the wall. And that's, yeah, we got that way back in the day. It was a really cool gift. Yeah, maybe I'll do a deep dive on Mayer's acoustics and do more. I think it was Gabe who actually said and told me, he was like, you should do a deep dive on Mayer's like acoustic history and like the main kind of highlights throughout the years, which would be a difficult one because I'm no expert on acoustics. I'd have to do a lot of research and kind of learn a lot, which could probably be a good thing. Adrian, managed to grab an Octopus Mark II from someone in the gear lounge, fixed up by Ryan the Tone Geek to get the AP2 enclosure. It sounds so great. Love Ryan's work. Yeah, Ryan's a great guy. For sure. Ryan does great work and stuff, and his VS10 is a great Tube Screamer clone. Ryan's a wicked dude. Do I agree with John Krashenko about slow dancing possibly being done on the middle pickup, although the fourth position has become Widows slow dancing? The album version doesn't sound like that. I 100% agree. It's the middle. It is 100% the middle. The studio trickery and everything that they did makes it kind of hard to do. I've always thought it'd be cool to do a video shooting it out. Maybe if I got the exact amp that he used for the main components. I think it was a vintage deluxe reverb and a Marshall Blues Breaker. I know those amps were used for that track. Then the Sweetwater breakdown that they did, really chatted with, I think it was Chad Franskowiak, about that. That'd be kind of cool to figure out what he was doing. And then maybe if I get the amps and just like the Strat, try with the tone up to kind of experiment and maybe highlight that it was the third. But I am very adamant that it's the third pickup, the middle pickup for slow dancing and Burning Room. Hey Marcus, well I can't tell. Have you noticed a tonal change to the black one when the neck pickup was changed from the original stock? I've never noticed because there's so little footage of it before it had like the neck pickup change with the pole pieces. From what I know, and then even talking with a few people as a result of the Black One documentary coming out that I made, I'm leaning towards it possibly being the original pickup. Actually, funny enough, based off of some knowledge as well of when John Cruz got the Black One back. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to compare it, but it's hard to when you got like different professionally shot performances, different ones shot from this part of the stage when he's using these cabs versus those cabs and different nights and stuff. It's hard to compare when you don't have like a very good baseline of like the exact same audio you're hearing and everything as well. California Dreaming cover is so good. It is. It's wicked. That was one actually that would have been cool to have heard at Crossroads as well. Which got released, and what do you think about it? Just wise and stuff, gear wise, maybe and stuff you meant. I think it's really cool. I think it's a really great tone. One of John's best trio tones outside of the actual trio era. Definitely cult favorite. And it's too bad that that footage, I would like to make a video on it, and I've debated it, but I know for a fact that YouTube will take down the video if I show like longer than like 5 seconds of that footage. So it's very difficult for me to make a video that's, you know, complete talking about the gear that he used for that one. It's the same thing with the going down footage. And who did you think I was at Crossroads 2010? I know for a fact I have all those videos saved, but a few times I've tried to, YouTube's taken them down. So now I have to edit the video again, swap it out with either footage from the crowd and then go back. But then even going down, the footage from someone in the crowd gets tagged as the actual footage or like audio. So it's hard to do that stuff. But yeah, it's a really great performance. Thoughts on John with super strats in his hands? I love it. I think it's cool. I'm always game for John experimenting and trying something new. The performance he did with Alexander 23 of Everyone Wants to Rule the World, that solo might be my favorite non-strat Mayer solo ever. I think it's fantastic. The tone and everything and the way he's just fluttering with the Floyd Rose, super cool. I'm here for it and I hope we see it to come and maybe an actual song and an album that's used with it. The way John's been going though with the solo tour, I have a feeling that we might be entering another Born and Raised album almost that's very acoustic heavy. So maybe the album after that. Did I like the Dead before Mayer played with them? Nope, I did not, to be quite honest. And I guess if I have to say, talking about being authentic on the channel before, or on the stream before, maybe perhaps the only thing I've been ever slightly inauthentic with is covering Dead and Company. I would go because of John and to experience that chapter of his career. But would I necessarily have enjoyed it? Probably not, to be honest. I'd like to go with friends and just maybe Gabe and hang out with people and chill and just experience a great night of music, but it's not my thing. It's never been my thing and it probably never will be my thing. I've literally tried to go and watch or listen to the one Athea performance that John said was what made him finally click with the Grateful Dead. I've listened to that performance a handful of times and it just hasn't clicked for me. It's just the way it is. being honest. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Not really a Grateful Dead fan. Just not my thing, which I think is fair. A lot of people, it's either you love them or you don't. Ooh, yeah, that's an interesting take. Kind of the early versions of Neon versus an acoustic. I think acoustic is just where it shines because it's just John and the guitar and the way the bass lines are and everything he plays. I think it's just insane what one person can do with an acoustic in their voice with Neon, and even just a technical exercise of being able to play that and sing at the same time. The old version is cool, and I wouldn't be mad if we ever saw the old version return on tour, but definitely acoustic. From Angel, wait, so you really think he dropped and the pull pieces moved? That I'm not sure about. But from what I kind of have talked with people about, I'm starting to lean towards it maybe being the original pickup. And something, again, with the mystique and the weirdness of the black one, I don't know. And this is where I have to be careful too, because there's a lot of stuff I can't say. Just to be quite honest, I have to be careful. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever know, to be honest, but it might be the original pickup. Or it might be something that was custom made for him as well that's very, very similar. That could be a very big possibility too. But I'm not necessarily sure that it's like a vintage pickup or anything anymore. That's what I'll say on that. So PRS made the Super Eagle for Mayer to play with Dead and Co, and then he stops using it and goes to the Silver Sky. What's up with that? It's literally the thing. He's a gear guy. He's always tweaking his sound, and maybe me not being a massive Grateful Dead guy, but the different tones that Jerry Garcia got when he was playing with his humbucker guitars kind of and stuff like that, going then to the guitars like the Alligator. Maybe John was just kind of following that journey and then falling more in love with different sounds like Jerry Garcia had, and maybe wanting to honor more of those tones or everything like that than, you know, with Honey or the Super Eagles. Maybe that's kind of what he was thinking. I don't know. It's kind of funny though that like we got the Super Eagle and then he stops using it. He's always tweaking. He's always kind of looking to change his tone up, and I don't think he's very happy staying in the same place for one time, to be quite honest. He's not very complacent with this tone. I think that's a good thing. Then we get variety, more stuff for me to talk about too, which is always great. But yeah, I think that's kind of what's going on. Where do you find the hidden gem Mayer videos that aren't on YouTube? I've had different people send stuff to me. And like in the past when I collaborated with other people, we kind of had like a big Google Drive that we shared with a bunch of stuff that you can't find really anywhere. Yeah, at this point now, I think it's what Daily Motion kind of has some gems, and you kind of have to go through a third-party site to at least download them. But if they're not on YouTube, it's pretty hard, honestly, at this point. And anything I try and upload is going to get taken down, which is the sad reality. Have you tried using footage of California Dreaming live from the joint New Year's Eve? No. I will look into that. Got that typed down. I'll try looking at that one to see if I can get around the copyright of it instead of using, like, I think it's the Conan performance is the one that is the main one everyone looks back. I'll try switching it up. We have a few guys in here this whole time, which has been really great. Whoever's in here right now, I'm curious, have you guys gone to the solo tour, or are you planning on going? I think it's the same thing. This tour is kind of, a lot of people are really into it or they're not. If you have gone, what are your thoughts? If you aren't going, why? I'd be curious just to kind of know where the fan base from a decent pull in here is at with this tour and everything like that. Okay, Brock of Flower. I'm looking at getting a new amp soon. I have a Blues Junior and just went to get something a little more authentic. Any recommendations? Looking at some Drip Edge Bandmasters. Oh man, okay. Yeah, that's a pretty serious upgrade if you're going from a Blues Junior to Drip Edge Bandmaster. I'm gonna see your next comment too. I'm gonna put it out that pull pieces don't move like that. The only way I'm wearing to move pull pieces heating with soldering iron to melt the wax, and then a bit of force push. Yeah. So the pull piece thing, again, like the force of it actually being dropped to move it, I'm not sure. I've had people also message me and who've said that they've done the same thing where they've literally, like, their guitar's fallen off of a wall, smashed on the ground, and then they've actually noticed their pull piece got knocked. Like everything someone tells you on the internet, take it with a grain of salt. But I've had some people claim that it is possible. Again, I don't know the exact story of what's going on, but I don't know at this point. Again, it's kind of like, I think if anything, it's very similar to maybe what he originally had, maybe Tweet. I'm looking at getting a new amp soon. I have a Blues Junior. Okay, this is the thing about the Bandmaster. Any recommendations? I mean, if you're looking at a Bandmaster, that's a pretty safe bet. Like, they're going to be pretty great amps. You're going up in volume, though, and headroom. Just keep that in mind. From the Blues Junior to like something like a Bandmaster. Depending on how loud you can play, you might need to look at attenuating and stuff like that. Because a lot of these Fender amps, they need to have some volume in order to really work. This Blues Junior, I'm sure it's kind of like the same way, but the wattage difference. I've never played Blues Junior, so I don't know exactly yet. But my Vibroverb, for example, needs to be on 3. When there's that very noticeable difference when you're on like 2.8 versus 2.9 or whatever it kicks in, and all of a sudden the amp is like, it has the air it needs and be able to, like, the power it needs to be able to push and the freedom. So that'd be one thing I'd just be more concerned about, if anything. Gabe's probably going to tell you Hot Rod Deluxe if he had anything much of he's still in here, but I haven't had that much experience with Fender amps. My amp journey was very weird in the way I kind of jumped between things, so I don't like giving a ton of suggestions if I haven't had firsthand experience with something, because it's kind of like, what am I going off of, really? If anyone's got any suggestions for Broca Flower, put them in the comments. We'll see. Just joined. Is he bringing it to every show going forward? Who knows? It's out there with them. He had it during the Sawbrock tour as well. Never got used. We'll see. We will see what happens. When is the next show? Tonight, TD Garden. We will see. We will see if it gets brought out in a couple hours here. If it gets brought out again, might be a good indication that we're going to see it, going on for quite a while. Did you feel a bit disappointed in the most recent Trio Crossroads performance? Maybe they need new material. 100%. 100% I was disappointed. Like I said, I'm not going to lie to you guys. You're going to get what I think, whether or not it's, I always like to be positive, but yeah, I didn't like it, really. And it was just like, okay, Vultures, Gravity, okay, cool. Would be interesting in seeing something else. You go to see John Mayer Trio performance, the people who go for that don't really care to hear Vultures or Gravity at this point, because you hear that when you go and see John just perform. So we don't really care to hear it for Trio, when it's very rare at this point we get Steve and Pino and John together on stage, just the 3 of them. It was safe, though, and it makes sense why they did it, because they don't have the time to all get together between everything they're doing and really rehearse songs that haven't played in forever for one night. So I completely get why they did it, and it makes sense, and I'm not mad about it in that way, but it's just like, I wish maybe Good Love Is on the Way even. They've performed that semi-recently. John performed it once on the solo tour. Maybe throw that in instead of a Grateful Dead cover and practice that a little bit more. That's my thoughts on the Crossroads performance. It's cool. It won't be a performance I ever go back and watch. That's for sure. Which is, kind of sad, to be honest, but I think that's just the state we're in right now with the Trio. 12 fret 0018 Stagecoach. John was a certain signature guitar that never was. Yeah, that would be really cool. It would have been cool to have seen those Crash Ocasters done in a Mayer Sig format, even, that he was kind of experimenting with, or like the Tri-Strat even, that never came out. That was what we theorized was a Mayer Sig. I still am desperately trying to track down the guy who owns the Tri-Strat. I think I've put a couple posts on Reddit and stuff like that, trying to find the guy who owns that guitar, because that would be incredible to actually be like, hey, either number one, can I buy that guitar off of you? Because I would actually try and buy it off of him. Or number two, just would you be able to pull it apart and take some gut shots for me and give me some specs and what you know. That would be really cool as well. Even like, hey, you know what? Thinking about signature Mayer Acoustics, double neck Martin. That'd be pretty epic. Going 1018 went last year's too, was badass. I really like the solo show personally. I had a good time. Later this month, can't wait. You're gonna have a great time, dude. Hey Benjamin, went to Palm Springs show. Whoa, yeah, it was one where Greg Fillinganes joined him. Yeah, that was cool. I remember you've sent me the footage from Marecraft. That would be a wicked time seeing him like that. Maybe one day I'll do the Joe Bonamassa's cruise for the blues or whatever it's called. That'd be a really good time. Do you think that John will ever get a top 40 hit again? Seems clear he's been sort of chasing one for the past few albums. From what I know, I think they thought that Sob Rock was going to be like pretty big, worthy of a hit, and even Grammy potential. But I don't know. I think that the way like things are right now, and the way the top 40 world is right now, and how, I hate to say it, how big Taylor Swift is and how much her fan base is, and like that kind of genre especially, I'm not sure if like John's got the fan base and the support to get a top 40 hit again. I feel like he was chasing one for sure on Sob Rock, or at least like trying to make like a very, you know, concise, very digestible album for a lot of people, and maybe a bit more mainstream. But I don't know. We'll see. My wife and I went to the solo tour in St. Paul on April 1st. We're considering going to see him again in Chicago on the 18th, especially since he said this will be his last tour for a while. I mean, yeah, if you're able to, definitely do it. It's a great time. You've seen it once, though, so I mean, you're not going to at least miss out at this point, right? Do we know, and sort of this has been covered already, what gauge and brand of strings John uses on the Black One or others? I want to say Ernie Ball regular. There's something I think Ernie Ball had posted a while ago saying that John uses regular slinkies on his guitars. Don't quote me on that. But that's what I think if I had to guess. It's also the Black One making an appearance this tour makes me going to see the show again even more. I mean, yeah, seeing stuff like that, and especially if we pay attention to the set list and see if they open up a little bit more, again, more deep cuts, because some nights they're a little bit more predictable. And then other nights they go a little bit more wild where you're like, okay, like stuff you didn't expect to happen, like Madison Square Garden night 2 happens. So I definitely think that this is a really cool tour where you have a high potential to see guests maybe coming out, or just really cool songs that he might never play again for years. From Nick, solo was the best show I've ever seen. Went to Atlanta in March, and the articulate and professional performance was amazing. Blown away by the simplicity and the sheer skill of that man. Yeah. It was amazing. I didn't know what to expect when I went to the solo show in Vancouver, and I knew I'd like it, but I didn't realize how much I enjoyed the night. And just, yeah, one man up there with an acoustic guitar, and how he just, whole hockey arena full of people, because we don't have really big music arenas up in Canada. So it was the Canucks arena, Rogers, I think it is. Yeah, pretty much sold out. Captivated the whole audience all night. It's incredible. There's not a lot of artists out there who can do that, I think, and pull it off, like to the success that John's had this tour. Yeah, it was a weird tone of his. I think he just was going for a very different thing. That was with the NG2 Cornish Fuzz, I believe, right? Where he was using that from the performance. I don't know. He used to be big into rap, actually. Not so much anymore. Back in my young days, but I think just that, yeah, he was going for a very unique sound to complement Jay-Z, and like kind of the goal of that night. So maybe change his settings and everything that one night. Yeah, some more of my coffee. Probably won't stay on for too much longer, guys. We're getting close to the 2-hour mark, and I was only planning on an hour, but this has been fun, and the night's going by nice and at a good pace, and I'm chilling. So as long as you guys are here and having questions, or we're talking, I'm happy to kind of hang out for a while longer, at least, but not terribly longer. Manuel, have you ever noticed John's use of fuzz for his strat tones during Battle Studies era? I hear a distinct fuzz tone during the Outro Souls for Gravity during that era. That definitely wasn't the NG2. The Crossroads Keith performance is a good example. Do you think it could be the full tone octave fuzz? I'd have to go back and actually try and pay attention to what you're saying. The Crossroads Keith. I think that Crossroads performance was the NG2. When if you're thinking about like the sound that he got during Till Summer Comes Around, I highly theorize it's hands, tone knob, NG2. That's the combination, and then that Duesenberg's pickups. I'd have to listen and take an actual listen. He still had the micro synthesizer in the rack, from what I remember off the top of my head. So maybe he was, well, I guess no, because he wouldn't use it without the synth sound. Wouldn't be that. I'll look into that, and I'll try and see what I can find. And then this has been a lot of fun, so maybe I'll start live streaming a little bit more often. So 2 a.m. Hey, thanks so much for staying up, dude. I appreciate that you're staying up this late. Last question. Don't suppose you know the last time the Rosie Strat was used? I always liked the way it sounded, especially on a Song for You solo. I don't know off the top of my head last time it was used. I might do like a video breaking down different Strats in one video instead of like doing one video dedicated to Rosie. Maybe do that one, talk about different guitars or just different Strats that are kind of one-offs. But I might talk about it on the channel. I don't know off the top of my head the last time I used it, though. It's just a really cool guitar. Went over that one. Isaiah, can you give your top 3 Mayer songs? I know Clarity's number 1. Damn it. Clarity number 1 for sure. I'm pulling up the man's discography here. Clarity. Can I count the trio? If I can say the trio, then Good Love is on the way. Number 2. If not, In Repair, probably number 2. And Helpless. Clarity, In Repair, Helpless. Let's go with that. Yeah, he used it a lot. 2 nights ago. Like I said, the days are blending together a little bit on me. But yeah, he used it for Gravity. I've done a full video breakdown, unless you're kidding. Done a full video breakdown on the channel, kind of reacting to it. And I might try and figure out the exact pedal combination used and break it down that way. Sure, going to solo show in Charlotte later this month. Excited because it'll be my first Mayer show. You're gonna have a great time, Matt. You're gonna have a killer time. I promise you that. Especially if it's your first show. This tour is very unique for what John's doing and everything. I very much enjoyed it. Even hearing songs that you don't usually hear acoustically, like Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, it just was different and it was fun. The atmosphere is very light. Everyone's just having a good time, listening to the music, enjoying themselves. You're going to have a wicked time for your first Mayer show. It's a very good tour to go and see. From Nick, heading out. No more questions from me, but appreciate your videos, man. I watch them close to every day, and effort is insane. Keep it going. Nick, appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much for that. It means a lot, and that's why I keep going. It's because you guys enjoy them and love them and support me. So as long as you guys are here and watching them, I'll keep going. Kyle, how you doing, man? Been a minute since we've chatted. Next time I'm in Vancouver, I'll have to hit you up. And give that a try, Ron. Dave tries to play guitar. That should be my handle. Justin tries to play the guitar like John Mayer. I blame you for starting a panel hunt and me. All jokes aside, I want to say thanks for all the hard work you've been doing for us fans. Hey, Dave, of course, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate the thanks, but just happy to be here and doing what I'm doing. Is there any pictures of the settings for the Vibroverb and the 3-amp setup he uses? I have a 2-Rock SSS and TC. Oh, dude, wicked. Wicked amp rig. Trying to get the tone with the Vibroverb to blend it well. So wait, do you have a Vibroverb as well? If you do, that's even more amazing. But I mean, SSS and TC is a insane amp combo as it is. I'd have to look. in like my files of all the different photos I have just on my external hard drive. If I can find some, if you follow me on Instagram, have Instagram, DM me on Instagram, and I just say, hey, live stream, I was looking for vibro settings. I'll look out for it, and then I'll see what I can do. And if I can find a good picture, I'll send it to you, if that works for you. What's your current favorite live Mayer solo? Trying to think back on Sob Rock. Maybe I guess I just feel like the Albany performance from Sob Rock with the Silver Sky was incredible. And Milwaukee's from 2019, that's another one of my favorite solos that Mayer's ever done, the Milwaukee 2019 one. That one's really brilliant. Yeah. Even with the Charvel and Jackson, I think it's just cool because it's so different and you would never expect it from Mayer for him to be doing Jeff Beck and Eddie Van Halen stuff. That's cool. Probably that one right now. Hey, Benjamin, have you heard the studio demo versions of the 3 trio original tunes? Good love. Who did you think? And Come When I Call? Yeah, they're really cool. They're really cool. And I feel like we were just this close to getting Good Loves on the Way actually on Continuum, because it was on the Waiting on the World to Change EP as well. Makes me think that that's just the indicator that it was one of the last ones that they had tracked or whatever. And then they decided we need to cut the album down. This one's not going to make the cut. But I think it's on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. If you guys haven't heard the Good Love Is on the Way one, I think the Who Did You Think I Was and Come When I Call ones are a bit more well known. Like they're on Apple Music, but the Good Love Is on the Way one is not. But it's on YouTube. So if you guys haven't heard the studio version, give it a listen. It sounds pretty much, it's the exact same format as the Continuum launch party at Webster Hall version, where there's acoustic guitar, full band. But it's cool. It's pretty much like that. You can hear, I think, some acoustic guitar in the background. It's been a minute since I listened to it, but yeah. Favorite John Mayer ears era? Do you mean tone? Or if I had to say my favorite era, actual era, 2019's up there actually, and I very much regret not going to a show in 2019. I thought John would actually do more North American shows or do a greater Canada tour, because the last time he toured throughout Canada a bit more, 2017. So I was dumb and I was like, I'm just going to wait. And then he never did. But yeah, ears probably double popped color. First Crossroads. Do you prefer the Ware mix of Room for Squares or the Columbia regular mix? I don't think I've ever really listened for that or compared it. I'll have to check that out. No, I don't really know. Oh, you and Gabe are going out for dinner tonight, Kyle. Ah, I'm jealous, man. I wish. The better half's going to be down there in a week and a half for a little bit. But yeah, next time, or if we actually plan when we're all going down together, the 3 of us can hang out. Be a great time. Sounds good. I'll look for your DM, and then I will go from there. And John, hey Justin, I really appreciate your videos and all the information on Mayer's gear you bring. What is the cutaway acoustic that he's been using on the solo tour? It's a sick looking guitar. But actually, getting an acoustic guitar, a buddy of mine, a really good buddy who's named Justin as well. He's got a single cut acoustic that I love, and it plays very well, and just the access is just a little bit nicer for a little bit more lead and higher fret playing. It's probably the kind of acoustic I might get actually when I eventually get one. But it's a custom shop 000 14 fret flamed Koa, I think is the official name of it. They did I think they made a couple of them or something like that through NAMM. Did I do a video on that, guys? I'm trying to remember. But yeah, it's like a very rare, like dealer select almost kind of thing that they did. And then John has it. And I think the same thing with the double neck that he's playing for the solo tour. I think that's on loan from Martin, actually, because they only made, I think, 2 of them in the world that are like that. And I feel like Martin has both of them. Old Spice. so upset that Can't Take That Plane never made it on Continuum. I know that there was a weird iTunes release where you could get it, but I love that song. Wish I had I don't think I've ever heard that. Can't Take That. Go into my notes from the stream. I don't think I've ever heard that, actually. I'll have to give that one a listen. So maybe same thing. That was like Good Love Is on the Way, barely made it, or like almost made it on the record, and never did. All right, from Dave, with John having a 3-amp setup, what do you think is the ballpark amp settings for a Mayer sound? Because sometimes it sounds like his clean tones have more mids than what the common settings say. It's hard to say because you need a specific amplifier, what speaker you're running, everything else in order to get like broad EQ settings. And I think every amp's kind of doing different lifting, so to speak, and taking almost parts of the EQ around. So it's hard to say like ballpark amp settings. I think just honestly use your ear, and what sounds good to you is probably the best advice I can give as to ballpark amp settings. Okay, so there's a total difference mix of Room for Squares called the Aware Mix. I have a CD of it. Each song sounds very different, very noticeable. See if you can track it down. Okay. I have that in my notes too. That's cool. This is a different mix. I'd be interested to hear it. Maybe it's on YouTube or something, or somewhere online that I can actually listen to it. And wow, I've caught up to the chat. Any other questions, things you want some quick discussion around, guys, before I go and make my dinner and probably go game a little bit if I'm being totally honest. And chill, or maybe just watch some TV. Yeah. Last few questions and stuff like that, guys, if you want, before we call it a night. I think Can't Take That Plane was supposed to be in the Cars soundtrack, but they settled for John's cover of Route 66. That's a story I remember from the 10 years ago. Okay, that rings a bell. Something about Cars and John and songs. Maybe I'm just being crazy too, but that story does sound kind of familiar to me. So I'll do some digging on it and try and listen to it. Maybe I'll do a video talking about the 5 top songs Mayer needs to release. It's just a fun thing and kind of highlight different ones, because I'm sure there's a lot of people like me who haven't heard Can't Take That Plane and these other songs he hasn't released. So doing some fun. Of course, Elliot. It was a lot of fun too. It's streaming's fun, and I watch a lot of Star Wars Theory actually when he does live streams, and just like he hangs around with his community and stuff like that. And even at night, because he does his so late at night, I'll just sit and listen while I'm putting around the house and stuff like that too. And it made me kind of think I should chat with you guys more and stuff like that. And I don't expect to get a huge audience, but it's just fun to like kind of connect with you guys a little bit and hang out and just chat about gear and answer some questions and everything. I don't know. It makes it feel a little bit more real than just like me making a video, looking into my camera, and then uploading on YouTube and reading comments. Get a bit more feel for like the real person behind the comments, and then hopefully you guys get a bit more of a feel for me as well. And hopefully I come across kind of how I am in videos versus streams. And then if you ever meet me in real life, hopefully I'm kind of the same kind of person, I guess. Hello, James, Jacob Color, Lizzie Tone. What song is that, Ron? Oh yeah, that's the Never Gonna Be Alone one, right? That's really it's really good. That's one of my friends actually. That was the song that got him into John Mayer, ironically. When he heard John's playing on that, he was like, "Okay, I get it." I think it's really good. I think it's really, really good. I'd love to know more about his studio process, the pedals he has, because we've seen some of those photos he has of the studio where you can see, like, I think a TS10, the Boonar, delay, and a few other things. It'd just be cool to know more about what he uses in the studio, but I'm sure that's just like the biggest fault secret in the world of what he's got in the studio and what he uses on records and stuff. Like, it was amazing. We got confirmation he used the C2 for Last Train Home. I think that's very rare to actually get direct confirmation from John on studio stuff at this point. I think I will. It's been a lot of fun, honestly. And like I said, 2 hours has gone by super quickly. I thought maybe an hour, but even with like 30 or so people in the chat, it's been a lot of fun. It's just nice to kind of hang out with you guys for a little bit. Isaiah, are you going to be getting the gym home for 5? No way. Way too much money. I'm not at that point in my life where I want to spend remotely that much money on one piece of gear. I've actually debated selling my Klon, funny enough. Just where I am and stuff, and prior, as you get older, priorities change, and things like that. It's fun to have, but get the same sound from a bunch of stuff, right? And I'm curating down to like my pedal collection is probably 25% of what it was at its peak right now. I had a lot, like it was bad. And then I slowly got rid of a bunch of stuff, and I'm still getting rid of stuff, but the market's terrible right now. And yeah, I'm not really into spending that much money on a guitar right now. Funny enough, actually, I was at a guitar show on the weekend in town here, and they had a Dave Grohl 335 for 12,000 Canadian. And it was the 08 one, so like the proper Pelham Blue one, from the proper run. And compared to what they sell for on Reverb and stuff like that, even from the history, that was a very good price. And that was the one time I was like, if I'm going to blow a stupid amount of cash on something, that was the closest I'd ever be, even from an investment standpoint. That would have been like a pretty good investment, but I was like, no, I'm not going to be dumb. But yeah, no, I'm 45 or anything. I'm crazy. Thanks, Angel. Glad you had a good time. Serious question: was there ever a hidden track on Room for Squares at the end of the album around St. Patrick's Day? I heard it in my trunk once, but haven't since. There was blank track on. No idea, Benjamin. Maybe something I'll have to dig up and look into too. Blank track on the song list, though. Is there? I have to look into that. I don't recall ever seeing something, but I haven't really been looking out for it to pay much attention, probably. New York, wondering if I shows go to the Baltimore show. I don't know if the set list would be different. I'm not sure it's worth paying that much to see the show too. That's the thing about the solo tour. Some nights the set lists are very, very similar. Some nights they're wildly different. It's like, that's the whole thing. It's like, would you want to go and see the same show necessarily? Probably not, but at the chance you might see something special, or he really goes into some deep cuts, it'd be cool. I think as the tour goes on too, you might get some more variety in the set lists. But I mean, you're guaranteed one thing, and it's a great night of music, no matter what, even if you've heard the songs again. It's just hard to say. I don't want to tell you one thing or another, because then it's like, if I tell you don't go and then you listen to me, I don't want you to be mad at me. And if it's really great. But yeah, I don't know. You're selling your own 42 now. Yeah, hopefully have a decent, easy time selling it. I've been trying to sell some gear, and it's just where it was back in 2020, now where it's come, trying to sell gear, it's a lot harder. So I'm glad I kind of got rid of a lot of stuff a couple years, or even like last year. Did a bit of a purge on gear, because right now it's glacial. But I'm the kind of person who won't accept low balls, and I'm just happy to sit on stuff until it eventually sells. Reason you asked what the 45 is, you have one in Pruder. I was asked to make a video on it. Seems like folks are divided on the design. 100%. I think it's the whole 20th anniversary Martin thing is very polarizing, and very people either like it or they don't. And who knows how many of them they are going to sell, especially the Home 45. I doubt that many. I doubt they're going to sell that many, to be honest. Just the way it is. Like, I feel like majority of people aren't necessarily the biggest fans of the design. Asking to spend that much money on a guitar is a lot. John playing them more in this back half of the year will definitely increase sales, but I'd love to see a video on it. If you do, please tag me in it or something so I can see it, because I don't think they're going to sell that many of them. Just there's the nature of the beast with a guitar like that. When you're asking that price point, you just aren't going to sell that many. I'm sure the 20th anniversary OMJMs will sell pretty well, especially with John playing them more. Steven, hey Steven, how's it going, man? How was your experience at the RL Posen show? Those 2 rocks, though. Don't know if the eye emoji is because it was my 2 rock or not, but RL's a great dude. Don't have enough, or I just have so much great things I could say about him. having the honor of getting to know him a little bit. He's a wicked dude, super nice guy, mega talented dude, very humble, just a fun guy to be around and chat with, in all honesty. Yeah, it was great. Ariel puts on a really great show. His new album is fantastic if you guys haven't listened to it. My two favorites are probably Time Can Only Tell and So Easy, maybe. Yeah, I think those maybe are my two favorites. I'm blanking on the other one that I really like that I've had in like repeat. That's why I need more of this, because my brain's not working. Oh, Broken But I'm Fine. That's a great one too. But yeah, it was a really great time. He always puts on a really great show and stuff. And yeah, it makes my 2-Rock sound better than I'll ever make it sound. That's for sure. And I got him to sign the back of it, which is pretty cool. If there's more space between the words 2-Rock and the traditional clean, I would have gotten him to do like the Mayer and Joey Landreth thing on the front, because the Trad Clean is pretty much an Ariel's signature amp. It's what he uses and stuff like that. But we did on the back. But yeah, really great time. If you guys get a chance to see him on tour, go and see him. You're not going to be disappointed. He always hangs around after the shows too, to chat with everyone, which is something, you know, not a lot of people do. Just have that time and, you know, effort to hang out with their fan base and chat with people and be super genuine. So yeah, it was a really great time. He's a wicked dude. All right, we're caught up again, guys. What was it? 2 hours and 11 minutes we've been going. Wow. Thank you all so much for hanging out and stuff like that. I really appreciate having you guys here to hang out. Some of you staying up to like 2 a.m. That's wild to me. That's really crazy. And I really just appreciate you guys hanging out and everything. It's been awesome. I got nowhere to be, so I could answer a couple more questions and then I'll head out. I love the black one and all the hype around it, but somehow I feel like the 64 is way more special. Black one was maybe John's main guitar, and the 64, however, has that emoji you can't explain. I get that a lot. How the 64 is just, it's that vintage guitar. It's got that vibe of an old guitar. Yeah, I get that, especially like from the Born and Raised Paradise Valley era, which a lot of people really love. And there was some of John's best tones, and even playing, honestly, in my opinion, came from that era with the 64 in his hands. The black one will always be associated with Continuum, but for a lot of people, as they say, even Born and Raised Paradise Valley is their favorite era and albums. I think the 64 has a lot of mojo, and there's definitely something very special. And it would have been really sweet to have gotten what they did with the black one from the custom shop, like custom shop replicas of the 64. That would be really cool. Will we ever get it? No, but it would be really cool. One of John's home rig is like, backstage he used to have a Kemper, funny enough, and play. And then there was some of the live streams he did in his home. I mean, that's what amp he was playing. I think it was right after he said tone was in the hands. They're like, well, you're in your living room. What amp are you playing? And he's like, my steel string singer. And it was just kind of ironic. But like, okay, yeah, even his living room has got his Dumble there that he's playing. He had the Milkman as well. The pedal steel, I think it was, in his home. Probably something very simple. He probably just has like a tube screamer, a Klon, because I do not buy into the fact that he only has one Klon Centaur for a minute. He's probably got just a very small rig that he noodles around, or even like a lot of people say it's fun to practice and good to practice just unplugged. So maybe that's what he does too. Have you ever taken a listen to the Villanova Junction demos, John's old band from 95? You can hear major Pearl Jam inspiration. Can I? Okay, no, I can't copy and paste your comment. Okay, I'm writing that down too. This is great for me, so I can actually like have some new stuff to learn too from you guys. Yeah, I'll check that out too. No, I haven't. Probably should look into John's stuff with his old band. It'd be kind of cool. Forgot, so when you dropped that video the other day, I was wondering if you would have dropped your 2 cents on the returns of the Fender and his PRS contract. I am a firm believer that there is no such thing as like you must play this guitar on a tour with John and PRS. I don't think there is such a thing. Paul's said that they don't force their artists to play stuff and they just let their guitars speak for themselves. I don't think Paul Reed Smith would lie about that. It seems like a really weird thing to lie about. And I feel like he's being honest and just saying, hey, my guitars and my stuff we make is just this good that we don't need to have a clause in the contract that makes them want to play it. They just want to play our stuff. If there was a clause, I don't think we would have seen John bring out the Corey Wong Strat during Sob Rock. I don't think we would have seen him even using a Fender amplifier for Sob Rock. Search for Everything, when they were developing the Silver Sky and the J Mod became a thing, he had the Dual Professional. Then the J Mod went away in favor of Steel String Singer 002 or 004 for the trio set. So there's never been a thing where he's played solely PRS, like amps or guitars. So I don't think that really tracks that there's a contract. Sob Rock's for sure the closest thing that we have. But he still played his Charvel, which is owned by Fender. Isn't Jackson owned by Fender too? So theoretically, he's still playing Fender products on stage. I don't think there is a contract. I would be very surprised if there was. I think it's just John, him buying into the Silver Sky that much, putting his money where his mouth is, so to speak, and only playing the guitar he designed. I think that's really what it's about. And that's just him being like, I designed this guitar for me, but my idea is this whole controversy and why I left Fender to make this guitar. So that is why I'm all in on it, because he is. And I think it's genuine as well. Never listened to REL, but he's come to a venue 5 minutes away from his house, worth the $20. Dude, yeah. I'm honestly like, he plays it's amazing. I can't say enough good things about REL and his shows and what he does. If you need any convincing, go look up is it How Long is the live album? No, it's not How Long. That's the name of the actual thing. Familiar Ground. Look up Familiar Ground, the live album on YouTube. Listen to Angeline, the second last song of the night. Even if you just go to the end where he outro solos out, if you're a guitar fan, that should sell you. It's definitely worth the show, for sure. And, if you go, tell him I sent you. Yeah, it's a great show. 5 minutes away, $20. You're not going to get a better night of music for your money. That's that close to ever. I'll say that. And if you don't like it, let me know, and I'll Venmo you or something. They're $20. That's how confident I am you'll like the show. Steven, what's a recent piece of gear you've acquired or looking forward to getting? The most recent thing I've bought is my custom shop Strat. Is that the last thing I bought? Yeah, I think that's the last thing I've bought. I've really slowed down in buying things. Looking forward to getting probably 2 rock cabinets, honestly, to kind of make a visual Mayer trio rig. In all honesty, is probably the thing I'm most looking forward to buying at some point. But yeah, probably this guy. Marshall's kind of their own thing. I mean, if you kind of aim for like a cleanish Frusciante style sound, it's a very great Strat sound overall, even like the Bonamassa clean Marshall thing. Is it quite the Mayer thing? No, but you can get a really great Strat sound out of it that I personally really do enjoy and like. Like the clean sound out of my Marshall, I think is great. And it sounds good. And you know what? Like, if you're not wanting to be like 100% dead on accurate and like the right in the Mayer vein, I think you can get some really great Mayer tones, like Mayer-ish kind of tones out of it. But I'd aim for something kind of Frusciante-ish clean. Think of like Californication, kind of subtle. She Looks to Me, even off of Stadium Arcadium. Just some nice, beautiful Strat clean Marshall sounds. I think you can't go wrong with those kind of tones. I know Paul very well, and he doesn't seem like the kind of guy to force artists, especially John, to do that kind of stuff. Oh, wow. That's crazy. You know, Paul. It's funny. Someone asked me before if I think John watches my videos, and I was like, no, but I feel like I'm always a little bit of a degree or two away. And here you are, a degree away from Paul Smith, which is pretty cool. And I agree. I don't think he does. I think it's very much we make the best gear we possibly can. They're going to just want to play it. Why would we force them to do anything? Because then that's just it sours the relationship and things get complicated. And then if they break that contract, you penalize them for it. I feel like it's something that can get really muddy and like just unpleasant as well. So I don't think he would be the kind of guy to force artists to play anything as well. I think PRS products are the kind of products that you don't need to do that. Something cheap and that's kind of shit. Sure, you might need to force people to play or to contractually to play it because they might not necessarily want to for that long or whatever. But something to the level of PRS, I really, really would be very surprised if they have a contract that forces people to play. John probably waited for the Silver Sky to become its own thing, which is now to bring Fenders back on stage. I think it has a bit to do with it, probably for people more to buy into it as well, and to just experience him with it and to see him with it consistently. I think that whole him buying into it and really, embracing it and playing it a lot probably has something to do with it as well. Like I said, he's mentioned before, it's meant to coexist with Fender Strats. It's not meant to compete or be a direct substitute. Hopefully we get back to that point with him. Doesn't need to prove anything more with Silver Sky. Everyone knows by now it's still a piece of gear. Agreed. It is. It's a great guitar. Even the SE. I was very impressed when I had an SE on loan for a little bit just to kind of test out and stuff like that. Both great guitars. Sound great. Play fantastically. In all honesty, it's like until you're getting to custom shop level, a Silver Sky is, probably the best S-style guitar you can almost get, in my opinion. Right before the custom shop kind of line. There. I agree with you on that. Everyone's kind of accepted it as well now that it's a thing. Thanks, Steven. I know I'd like to. I've mentioned this in the stream earlier, but I sold my aux because I was never happy with the tones I was getting out of it. And then Gabe told me it's because I was never using the SPDF way to record out of it. I was using like line in, line out. So all the tones I got on the channel before, to be honest, I never was really that happy with, but I was like, I should do this, put this content out and, embrace playing on the channel more, but I need to get a bit more confident, I think, in my playing too before I do it, because it's very stressful, to be quite honest, to make videos where I played. The ones I've done on the channel, Red Light Syndrome, I'm a very big victim of it. And then I'm never happy with the takes and I keep redoing it. And the next thing you know, I've spent like 5 hours trying to make like a 1-minute clip or whatever. And then I get frustrated and then I come back the next day and try and do it. But I feel I'm more confident now in my playing and stuff where I'd like to do it eventually. And then I'll probably talk about my custom shop Strat. I was wanting to do like Mick Taylor, how he did his Strat vlogs on TPS. I was kind of wanting to do something like that with my Strat before I like modify it. I thought it'd be kind of cool to document, even just for something I can look back on. Not that I watch my videos after I make them, but maybe eventually. So I'm not hoping stops playing Silver Sky. You should really cool to see mixing them up. I agree. I love a mix. Play the newer stuff like Sob Rock stuff, Search for Everything stuff, future stuff that's written with the Silver Sky in the studio on the Silver Sky. Keep Continuum stuff, Born and Raised Paradise Valley stuff with the Strats. I think that'd be very fair. And then whatever going forward, if he uses the black one in the studio like he did with All I Want Is to Be With You, bring it out the odd time you perform that song, maybe. Just a balance. I think it's all we want. Hey, Matt. Yeah, hopefully you've been here for a while. We're wrapping up here. It's been a minute. Makes sense. The PRS contract thing was something I saw floating around the forums. I think it's just people making up shit to make up shit, to be honest. Just like saying, oh, yeah, that's why he's doing it. Because I don't like PRS. So it must be a contract, because why would Mayer play that crap? I think it's just people like that with that attitude or making stuff up, to be honest. Like I said, I know Paul has come out and said in one interview I saw where he was like, we don't force people to play our stuff. We just don't. They play it because they like it. And I think that's the best way to be honest. And I think that's what he does. It's what he's kind of guy he seems like. Yeah, I actually worked under Paul this summer. I built pedals and amps. Everyone, I think I love supporting incredible artists such as yourself. Oh man, John, that's crazy. That's awesome. You worked right under Paul. I assume you're still at PRS then. If you are, if you ever got any insider knowledge, love to know it. I think I'm pretty good at keeping certain things on the DL when I need to be honest. So we love to just chat and hear some stories too. DM me on Instagram if you ever want. Yeah, love just chatting and love to hear some cool stories. Or if you're doing your own brand as well, that could be the other thing. You build pedals and amps. That'd be kind of cool as well. Be curious to learn more. Yeah, that's cool. I'd love to have the knowledge to be able to build pedals and amps. That's something I've kind of wanted to just dive into just for fun, to kind of gain some knowledge. Then if ever anything of mine broke, if I knew how to solder it, I could fix it. But I don't know when I'd find the time. This channel, to be quite honest, takes up so much of my own time, my free time, where it's like there's literally some days I work and then I get a text or something that something's going on. I come home, I either eat dinner before or after I film, then I go back down, edit. Then by that point, it's like 10 o'clock at night, watch a little bit of TV or maybe play like 30 minutes of Apex on Xbox and then call it a night and go to bed and do it again. So to take the time to learn how to build stuff would be a lot, I think. And maybe one day. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. I'm seeing you got a part 2 here. Watching all the shots of the black one, it has a lot more wear than it did in 2018. I think John's been using it more in the studio personally than is known. It lives and it makes me happy. Either way, the fact that we've seen it once, that it's weird, I think. But I feel like a lot of you guys feel the same way that I do, where it's like you see that guitar and something just feels right almost inside like your soul or something, where you just have this happiness that's almost inexplainable to a degree, where why you feel so happy about seeing a guy you don't know play a guitar. Like, it's weird, but I think we all feel the same way, where just something feels right seeing someone who inspires us play a guitar that's honestly inspired us almost as much. I'd have to compare the wear though. That's an interesting comment. I'll have to look into that. I'm gonna write that down actually. Wear 19 to now. I'll take a look at that and see if I can figure anything out. And if I notice anything, I'll probably make a video on it, because that would be very interesting. If he's just playing it personally and he's wearing it more, that'd be really cool. If he would have, I feel like when PRS did their pedals, like the horse meat clone kind of thing, that was the chance to get a signature pedal. If they were going to work with John on anything, I feel like that would have been the thing. And then I was kind of convinced, because I knew that the PRS pedals, what they were and everything, were coming out a decent bit before they actually released. And I was kind of curious to see if John would do any promotional stuff with them. And he never did. But I was kind of under the impression that maybe he would have helped them develop. If they're doing a Klon kind of style pedal, John's the guy to talk about the Klon. But I feel like if they were going to, it would have been when they released that. And how big would it be to be like, PRS, we're making pedals now, and to launch our new pedal line of pedals, here's a Mayer signature, or at least something that Mayer had a big hand in developing. The fact that we haven't seen that, I feel like, unfortunately, indicates that we might never get that. Oh, you're just a summer intern, so I know a little about some company secrets. One of my fellow interns is working on a new amp, and yes, I build most stuff too. That's awesome, John. That's wicked. Kudos to you for having the knowledge and dedication to learn how to do that stuff, and to be at the level to go and work under Paul for a bit, an intern. That says a lot, man. Congrats. That sounds like it'd be a really fun time. That'd be a really good time, I bet. I can say I took a billion pounds and basically trying to say 8 months ago, but so far 100% recommend it. Maybe one summertime, if I don't, or I guess winter, probably in Canada is a better time to learn it. Maybe one time I'll try and do a crash course on it to learn how to do it. Doug and the other E's at PRS would be mad for calling it a clone. Isn't that what it is, though? Maybe I'm speaking out of line, but it's my impression that it's essentially a clone that then they've tweaked. Not clone, but it's at the bare level, it's a clone from what I thought it was, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, 2.5 hours, I think. Time to call it, guys. I haven't had dinner yet, and I'm getting kind of hungry. I can feel my stomach rumbling. Thank you all so much for coming and hanging out. I really appreciate you guys taking time. Like I said, some of you stayed up till 2 in the morning, which is crazy. Thank you for hanging out. I think based off this and just how much fun I had every time, I've done 3 of these, but every time I've done one, I end up going for way longer just because I'm having fun talking to you also. Maybe I'll move into doing a weekly thing, or not weekly, Maybe like a monthly even stream or something like that. Yeah. Let me know your guys' thoughts, but I think everyone had a good time. If that's true, then I've done my job. When are you going to use the Les Paul behind you? I see it in every video and wonder which one. I assume if you're talking about every video, the way I frame my face, it's around the gold one. Is that the one you're referring to, Matt? The gold one behind me? Does Mayer use the Boss octave pedal on his own material? Vultures, he's used it on Helpless. Richard, I got a video on the OC3 on my channel. If you just go to my channel's homepage, underneath Mayer tone pedals playlist, whatever it is, Mayer's pedal guide, I think it's called, actually. I've done one on it where I've tried to highlight different instances of John using it. That's probably your best indicator of what he uses. If you got the time to go and watch that video. Of course, John. Thank you, man, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Do you think Paul was mad? If you're referring to the black one now, if it's the whole contract thing, I think Paul's just, like John's going to do his own thing, and can't be mad at him for playing the Silver Sky as much as he does. I mean, the Fenders have a bond with him from his recording process and his history. He's not going to just ditch them fully. I think that'd be foolish to think, and just anger misplaced if you're mad about that. Sure, I definitely think I will. I've always been thinking about it, and I'm like, I really should. Ruben, oh man. Hopefully you can get some sleep, dude. And, go to bed. I mean, I'm honored that you'd stay up till 4 a.m. hanging out here. That's insane. That's really awesome. The Sunburst red yellow one. I'll highlight it for you, Matt, quick. Maybe one day, if I get into more just talking about my own gear and like just sounds I enjoy and stuff like that, I'll talk about it. This is as far as I know, 74 custom. I know some people really don't like the Norlin era Gibsons from the 70s, but some of them rip. And what was it? Randy Rhoads, I think, used the 74 custom, just like this one in white, was it? Remembering correctly. It seemed to work pretty good for him. So it's heavy as shit, though. I think this thing's like 13 pounds. I weighed it once, and it was super heavy. But yeah, this guitar is really rad. The T-tops in it sound great. The ebony neck is super fast, actually. And when I was a big Slash Page guy, I mean, just the sounds you get from a Les Paul, you can't beat it for what it does. And my favorite thing ever with this guitar was playing like Ramble On, like the version Jimmy Page did from It Might Get Loud, playing nice and gently on the neck pickup, the tone, the volume rolled down, and then knocking down to the bridge pickup, and just like getting just a really dirty, loud in your face tone. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Don't think the camera will focus on it, but maybe one day I'll play it in the videos. Like I said, if I slowly transition into talking about gear that I like and just making the channel more a little bit about me, so to speak, like always talk about the Mayer thing, but then also be like, a bit of my own kind of person. I don't think I'll ever be like a Rhett Shaw, that's for sure, or anything like that, but just, just talk a little bit more about just different things and stuff and expand the channel a little bit. John ever played Tully ever? I know it's possibly a stupid question. No stupid questions here. No stupid questions here at all. John does play Tully the odd time. He got one around the time he recorded Continuum. The year, everything I'm blanking on. Might be like 59 or something like that. Maybe I'll do a video on it. That's a good idea. I actually talk about Tully. He played one during the Born and Raised Paradise Valley era a bit. Maybe chat can help us out here, because I'm not a big Tully guy, to be honest, like traditional Tully at least, so I don't really know. But yes, he's played one a little bit. Nothing crazy. Yeah, if I ever get around to living, for sure, I remember that one. Prices sold so many guitars. Yeah, exactly. The amount of money they've made with their deal from John is absurd. Sure. PRS or Fender for you? Fender. I went from a Strat to Strat and a PRS Silver Sky. Sold the Strat to buy a custom shop Strat. Ended up buying the Vibroverb instead. Then I missed out on a Strat, and I sold the Silver Sky for my Strat now. to help fund it. And I just think that the Strat's a Strat. Silver Skies are fantastic, and they're really great guitars. But for me, there's just something about a Fender Strat that I do really enjoy. I miss having the Silver Sky, to be quite honest, though. So maybe one day I'll get a Roxy pink one or a charcoal one, or if they do another limited edition run, maybe I'll get one, because I also now I'm missing having it, but I would never trade my new Strat for one. Of course, Matt, I'm glad to kind of showcase some stuff if you guys want to see it that I never get to talk about, because live streams are kind of the time to do it, right? I said, yeah, it's really cool. The bursts and everything. While we're talking about Les Pauls, let me show you guys this one. This is actually my number 2. This is we believe, a 1971 Deluxe. Thin Lizzy, Pete Townshend all played these guitars from the same era, these Deluxes. This one we specifically believe is the body of a standard, because it's got these weird rings around the mini humbuckers. So it was routed for, I think, regular humbucking pickups. And then they converted it to Deluxe in production, so they had excess standard bodies from what I've read and tried to research. But the reason why I want to highlight, we're talking about Les Pauls, and most of you guys don't know, but this was actually my grandfather's that he bought new. And before I was born, he unfortunately passed away. I never got to meet him. Seen lots of stories. He had a bunch of instruments and stuff like that, but this guitar was his, and this was kind of like his pride and joy. So it's kind of neat to have a connection to the grandfather I never met through this guitar. And so, yeah, every time I think of it, I think of my grandfather, which is kind of cool, because I never got to meet him, but I feel like I know him in a little bit of a way. And so my dad said it was pretty cool when the only gig I ever played this was this year. And this is the guitar I played for half of it. And my dad kind of said it was cool, his dad's guitar, which was pretty sweet. So yeah. Yeah. That's this guitar. Same thing, very heavy, like all 70s. But this guitar, for especially, like I mentioned, I'm a big crossbuck guy. For those kind of Cardinal Black sounds, the mini humbuckers are super unique. He did a video on one of these guitars actually a couple months ago, and it was very cool for me to see one of my guitar heroes talking about these guitars that are super underrated, but are super cool. And the mini humbuckers sound great, and it kind of does that thing that's not quite a humbucker, but not a single coil. And it sounds great. If I got more comfortable playing up to the full frets, I play it more, but without having to fully access everything up here, it's a dream to play, and I love it. And yeah, that's the story. I just thought I'd share it with you guys who are still here about this gold top. Like I said, now's the time to talk about stuff like that when I'm on the channel. Mayer and the Marcus King band would be a cool show. Mayer's a whole different league, popularity-wise, 100%. I really wish John would collab with a few other artists. Ariel, they're kind of friends. Be a wicked one. Even Keith Urban, maybe. But I think John's very selective with who he partners with, like Mac Miller, people like that. Would be cool. No, that's another one that's on like kind of like my long list of stuff I'll make when when things get quiet. I need to still get content out. Obviously, I'm in too deep now. I'm a YouTuber, so to speak, where I kind of need to keep stuff going. It's on the list eventually to talk about. Maybe I'll do like a Gibson history, highlight the SG or something like that. Almost close to 15. 15 will be a pretty big milestone to hit, which would be nice. Right, I remember that story where he got one through David Ryan Harris. Yeah, that's cool. And you used it in the video, the music video too, right? Yeah. Charcoal, is it official? No. Someone posted in the Gear Lounge on Facebook that they talked to Paul when they saw him and were like, "Hey, are you guys gonna make the charcoal?" And he says, "I can't tell you when it'll come out." Or the way he worded it, don't quote me on that, guys, but the way he worded it, sounded like he was saying they are going to make it at some point, but he doesn't know when it's going to come out. Maybe. I'm just realizing, looking at myself in the camera, how bad my tan is on my face and my neck from golf. I picked up golf halfway through last year because all my friends play it. And so I played a ton of rounds this year, especially trying to get them in before winter in Canada. And that's why I have had in all my videos of this god-awful sunglasses tan. Because I can't, my eyes are super sensitive to sunlight, so I need sunglasses on when I'm playing, and then I just get a tan from being out and golfing. So that's the story behind that. I'll start to try and find that image. Thanks for your help. Of course, anytime. If you ever have any questions too, I try and keep up with my Instagram DMs as much as I can. Feel free to DM me on there. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, it's a pretty nice story about that guitar. So that'll be a guitar I'll never sell, obviously. C-Bum with John Mayer guitar. That's a title I will carry with pride, Oscar. That's a title I will carry with pride. The C-Bum of Mayer guitar. Hopefully, one more win for Chris. I feel like he's going to retire this year. I feel like this might be it. Hopefully, one more win would be really great for him. And then with his autoimmune disorder, I think it is, might be time to call it off for his longevity and his health, right? We want the guy to stick around for a long time, but I feel like one more Olympia title for him, and then he'll win. Down to getting McCarty 594. Eventually, I mean, I have my custom Les Paul for the big humbucking tones. That I can't really see myself ever wanting a 594 right now. Maybe one day. There's a lot more on my list of guitars I want to get first before I consider 594. That's for sure. Vid on the Qtron. Yeah, that'd be a cool video to do, actually. I don't think I've done breaking down like different examples of John using it outside of just the typical I don't trust myself with loving you one. So yeah, I can make that happen at some point. Yeah, 100%. Josh Scott's worked closely with Mayer. He's helped him out with a lot of rig building and stuff like that. Yeah, if you guys are looking for TS sounds, I think definitely check out that stuff. I actually want to try their Pack Rat. So I really like rat tones. Maybe Blasphemous. Coldplay's first record, Parachutes. I love that record. That's like a vintage rat. And I know Josh Scott actually has mentioned a few times that he really likes that record too. And we've chatted a little bit on Instagram about that record. So for me to try out some rat tones would be kind of cool one day. Man, bodybuilding channel. No, I wish. I'm just a big fan of bodybuilding. And Chris Bumstead for sure. I think, yeah, I just follow it on a lot. Some of the people who got to know me on the channel. No, there's 3 things in life. There's 5 things in life I really, really am into. John Mayer and playing guitar, bodybuilding, and stuff. I don't compete or anything, but I really like bodybuilding, following bodybuilding. Star Wars. Star Wars is like one of my favorite things in the world. Golf now, and Lego. I'm like a 12-year-old, I swear. But yeah, some people just have gotten to know that I'm big into bodybuilding. And like on my Instagram, I posted like meeting Chris Bumstead, meeting Jay Cutler, stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be cool to see too, honestly. I don't know. It's kind of interesting with like the changes they made to the Olympia too and stuff like that. Like as the kind of judging and everything changes a little bit, it's interesting. Like kind of where the league's kind of going a little bit and stuff like that. And I don't know. I'd kind of like to start paying attention to some more like natural bodybuilding stuff like that and everything. Like, 'cause I don't like the full on like open as much anymore. I've kind of gone away from that. And classic definitely is where it's at in my opinion. But even then, it's just kind of like these guys are getting so big and the things they're putting their bodies through. It's just like, oh man, if like Arnold said, if they ever did like a very tested Olympia level natural league, I would really be a fan of that and support it. I know hobbies keep us from getting old. That's what I'll explain that to my better half next time I buy a Lego set. I got big into Lego last year. I got a really bad concussion last year. Right around the time I met Jay Cutler, actually, like a week before I met Jay Cutler on my Instagram for a date. I'm trying to remember when. I think that was May. Watching playoff hockey, and I hit my head on a TV by accident. Stupidest thing in the world. But I was really severely concussed, where I was like, could not work. I worked through COVID and everything. I was like, oh, whatever, I'm fine. Like I work from home most times anyway. So I was like, whatever, I'll just do that. Couldn't look at the TV, couldn't game, couldn't do anything. Went and tried to dig out some of the old Lego I still had. Couldn't piece together anything. So I drove my concussed butt to the Lego store in town here. Bought like the big Republic gunship set. That was like 3,000 pieces. Put that together, and now I have an addiction. That's pretty much what it is. That's like a de-stressor, honestly, and something where, like guitar, I can just unplug, put on music or TV show in the background, and just build. And it's just like one of the few things now that like fully gets my mind off of like life and like when you're stressed and work bullshit and everything else going on that we all deal with in life. It's something I can just chill and unplug and just like clear my mind. And it's fun. Last comment now. I know you're reading. I love the channel. Help me build my own rig. You're doing it right and coming for new content. You're a treasure. Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate that. It like the comments like this that you guys sent in the chats, or just like little remarks, even like Oscar saying, you know, like call me Suba, I'm John Mayer, knowing that I'm a fan of him. All these little things you guys say, like it might not seem like a lot to you, and you might not think it means a lot, but like honestly, like it really does mean a lot to just read these comments from you and hear these things. And like I said, when I met a really great dude, really, really lovely man from Germany at the second Ariel Posen show that I went to, came up to me. It's just like, it's crazy that I'm getting to meet people from all over the world. And it means a lot to hear this from you guys. And yeah, I'll stick around as long as you guys watch the stuff. And it'll be fun. For sure. And I guess one of the last things I'll say, because now we're almost at the 3-hour mark and I really need to go and eat, is I will be appearing on Chairman of the Boards with Mason from Vertex and some of the other guys on there. They've asked me to come on just to talk about Mayer gear and provide advice for people wanting to build their own rigs, which was a true honor. Like Joey Landreth was just on that podcast like a couple weeks ago, the one that aired, which is crazy that like I'm going to be interviewed on the same platform that Joey Landreth was, which is just absurd to me. If you guys want to check that out when it goes live and support me by being on there, that would be really huge if you guys tuned in, because I know they don't do it live, it's pre-recorded. But yeah, if you guys go and watch it, leave a comment, give it a like, that just helps me out and stuff like that. And I'd really appreciate the support on that. Being on 5 Watt World last year was fucking crazy too. Like honestly. So yeah, goal would be to get on Dipped in Tone. That would be insane. So hopefully one day get on Dipped in Tone too. But yeah, if you guys pay attention to Chairman of the Boards or ever listen to it, even if you don't, I'd appreciate you tuning into my episode. At least that helped me out a lot. Do you think John Mayer watches my channel? Do you think because of the documentary made him bring him back? A lot of people have commented that on the video, and it's got a lot of likes. One of the comments. I'm very flattered that some people think that because of the documentary I made, John brought it back out. Maybe I'm just a big skeptic or just not very sure of myself in that way. But I have a very hard time thinking that like that would be the reason he'd bring it back, to be honest. I think it truly is a coincidence that he brought it out around the time I made my documentary. But at the end of it, if you guys watch it all the way to the end, and shout out to you guys who did, that's nuts. It was a very long video. I did make a little note at the end just saying, John, if you ever do read this, I hope it was fun going down memory lane and reliving these moments with the guitar that has been with you through so many times and helped inspire so many people to pick up their own guitar, to find their own black one. If he ever, it was just because in my mind, if there's one video that hopefully gets to John, I had to pick one video for him to see, it would be that one. Like a love letter to that guitar, and almost like, you know, like the guy who created Someday I'll Fly, that documentary on John. That was like the closest thing I can make to that, where it's not about his career, but it's about one guitar. And hopefully, you know, if he ever did see it, he'd at least like that video and appreciate it. I feel like John knows about me though. He's in tune enough and smart enough about like how people chase his gear and stuff that like at this point now, I don't think there's really any Mayer YouTubers that are strictly Mayer. I'm not strictly Mayer either, but I would be a little surprised if he doesn't at least know about my channel or be aware of it, that it's there. And I think, all right, maybe I can screw with this community a little bit and like the people who do chase my gear. I'd be a little surprised if he's unaware of it. Because like even David Lee, who was the guitar tech for John Frusciante back in the Stadium Arcadium era, he's watched my videos and stuff like that. So like I'm close to these people, but it's like, do the exact people watch it? I don't know, but I feel like John Mayer would. Thanks, dude. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. I don't like to disclose certain personal stuff. And that's why forever I never put my full name even on the channel or on my public Instagram. But yeah, I graduated university a couple years ago, and still kind of trying to find my career a little bit. Hence why earlier in the stream, if you guys were here, I talked about just being at different places in your life and why I'm not buying as much gear anymore and trying to just just get different places, different priorities and stuff like that. Thanks, Elliot. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the comments. Hey, Jesse. I think I saw at the Vancouver John Mayer show and really regret not saying hi. Love this channel, your hard work. Oh, dude, yeah, it would have been great if you came and said hi. If any of you guys ever do see me out at a show, if I'm ever about, I'm in LA semi-frequently. That's more frequently than most people, I guess, because we have family down there. You ever see me out and about, please come say hi. I'd love to meet you and say hi. Just talk about John Mayer a little bit or something like that. It's always a treat, and never be a stranger around me. That's for sure. Be just cool to get to meet people. I gotta make it. I don't even know what I'm gonna do. It's getting so late here now. It's getting Jesus. Yeah, it's getting very late. Where I'm probably at the point now where I'm gonna order in, or go out and pick something up. Maybe because it's getting very late, and by the time I cook, or maybe I'll just. No, I don't know. I gotta figure it out. Yeah, that was Chloe Weir, is it? Bob Weir's daughter who posted that. And I think it's because she had such a great dead-on shot of the board. He made her block it out. Or maybe that was just one time where he was like, I'm just going to screw with these guys super hard. And stuff like that. And yeah, that was kind of interesting to see him do that. I didn't expect him to do that at all. But at the same time, sometimes, if you guys have noticed, I make videos when I do, especially pedal board breakdowns and stuff. Sometimes I've waited. I think with Sobrock, I waited until like the end of the tour almost to talk about it, because my greatest fear is John getting to the point where he doesn't want people knowing what he's using and getting kind of fed up with like the tone chasing of his, where he takes his gear, all of his pedals, throws it into a rack off stage or to like the side, you know what I mean, to the side of the stage behind the amps, and then uses a controller. And it's all just colors or labels that are just for the songs. And then guess what? We'll never know what he's using. That's a genuine fear of mine. Like, no joke. I'm actually like nervous that we might hit that point. And so that's why I try and be careful when I make videos and how I make videos and stuff like that. Just to not build any more hype than I'm going to. Like, I don't want to intentionally hype things up too much, just so that like we're chill. Or like sometimes if it's like a tour and there's like a show or whatever, and he's using a board, sometimes I'm kind of like, maybe I'll wait a little bit. If it's a tour, if it's like a one-off Crossroads performance, who cares if we talk about what's on his pedal board? It's for one show. But if it's for like a tour, for example, maybe I'll wait. And I won't reveal everything that's on his pedal board on my channel or talk about it. Night one. It's like, all right, John's got a new board he's worked super hard on, tested all of his pedals, done the sounds, and then next morning there's a post online or whatever, and here's everything he had on it. I'm sure that might frustrate him a little bit. And so, you know, whether or not it's because he's screwing with us or because he does have some actual privacy he wants to keep, I try and balance it a little bit and not reveal everything right away. And I think that's why, I'm pretty sure that's what I did for Sawbrock, where I wait till the tour was done, then made a video about it. Just so that's kind of like, all right, it's a healthy balance, maybe. I try and do that sometimes. But yeah, that's a genuine fear of mine. One day it'll all go in a rack unit, and then we'll never see any of his pedals again or really know what he's using, which would be crazy. But yeah. All right. Yeah, I think I'm going to go eat here. Okay, Ricky put in one comment. I'll answer this one, then I'll call it. Not sure if I addressed this or if it's been asked, but you think he exclusively went Silver Sky or Saw Rock to fit the theme and vibe? Vintage strats probably don't fit that vibe as well. I mean, it's possible, a little bit more of like the 80s theme, not quite strat sounds that you're thinking of. I think it too just was him going all in on the Silver Sky and just being like, I designed this guitar. It's great. It's what I'm going to use the whole tour. I think that's probably why. I think that's probably it. I think there's part of it. Silver Sky, I think, fit the record. Plus, using them more in the studio. Lots of Silver Sky. I think John said Silver Sky's on like almost every track, or that's used all over the record to the point where like he is using what he used in the studio when it comes to Silver Sky live now. But just where he's using it for continuum stuff is kind of like where you're like, I still miss the strats. How do you or what do you do? Such expensive and beautiful gig. You once had a $10,000 guitar, the Nebula. Well, for the Nebula, I bought that at retail. I knew it was coming out. I had just a brief head start that it was coming out. And then before it released, I called a dealer and was like, hey, I know you're going to get one of these. Can you please put one aside for me? Because they were a PRS select dealer. And then I got a call back the morning it released to being like, hey, you were the first guy who called in about it. I got your name on one. If you want it, it's yours. So I bought it. And then I was too scared to play it. Literally, I damaged it a little bit, the finish, and I like felt sick to my stomach because it was such a beautiful guitar. The value of that guitar when it went up like crazy. I just was like, I just can't bear myself to play this thing because if I damage it, I'm just going to be stressed out. That's why I got this. Anything happens to it, I just laugh, and it's part of the guitar story because it's not a perfectly finished guitar. You can see some of the nicks and like I'm not sure if you guys can get the checking in it, but there are just some little wear marks on it, and it's enough where it's like, it's not like a fully relic guitar, but it's enough where I want to put my own miles and wear into it. Where Silver Sky, I feel like they don't look good wear it either. So yeah, I didn't spend that money for a Nebula. I bought it at regular Silver Sky price before the price increase even. So I bought it for cheaper than what you can buy a brand new one now. And then I sold it to a guy named Justin, actually off of the Facebook group that I helped kind of give birth to, give birth to. That's a really weird thing to say. I sold it to him for under market value, actually. At the time, it was, I think, the cheapest one had gone for. Probably maybe one of the cheapest one will ever sell for. Hindsight, I probably should have kept it and, you know, probably doubled my money from what I even sold it for or close to. But yeah, it was nice to help someone out and not like just directly profit off it because that was not my intention when I bought that guitar. It doesn't really matter. It's none of our business. The question just keep me being curious. It's really cool to make time for everything, keep the channel going. Yeah, I work from home a lot of the time. I have to go downtown into an office building a few days a week. Some weeks and stuff like that. But I work from home and just yeah. Kind of, you know. Up Kuwait, trolls tomorrow. Trolls tomorrow. That's right. PRS going to lose vibe. Scratch. Yeah, because that's the thing too. It's like a custom shop guitar. If I put a couple chips in mine and then sold it, not that I ever would, but like I could just say that's how it came. And how would you really know any different unless it was like a really weird damage to it in the finish? But yeah, the Nebula was for sure going to lose value if I played it, and it was either like commit to playing it and keeping it, or like just move on from it. And I just decided, you know what, like it stressed me out too much. And maybe I was overthinking it. My friend Sam Romian, if you guys know him, he gigged his Nebula quite a bit. Braver man than I'll ever be. But he played the hell out of that thing. And then my friend Gabe, you guys all know Gabe Bergman, plays a Super Eagle. He's telling me about the one time he dropped it off his bed and fell on the hardwood floor. And he just was like, oh, well, it's a guitar. It happens. I was like, dude, that's amazing. Okay, yes, I'm going to stop Matt. Last question, and then we'll save your things for the next stream because I had a lot of fun and I'm gonna do this again. Story behind the blue Strat for those of you who weren't here. Back in, what was it, January, I made the video saying goodbye to my Fender Mayer signature Strat, one of the first guitars I ever bought. And I made the decision that while I loved that guitar, I wanted to get rid of it. Not rid of it, but just I wanted to move on from it. I'd done the whole thing, as you all know, replicating Mayer's gear, Mayer's amp rig. It was fun. It wasn't just because I was like, I need to do this. It was more just like, it was a fun technical exercise. And I was like, I can kind of do it, so why wouldn't I? Just for laughs and just to kind of have fun with it and just play. And I never really made demos for the channel, even. It was more just for me to come down and try and play sounds and have fun with it. But I wanted to move on, become more my own player, develop my own sound. Then goal really was getting a custom shop Strat for me, kind of to make into my own. Slightly Ariel Posen inspired, were blue Strat style guitars like his Mulecaster. That was kind of thing. And I toyed around for a while of getting a tort guard on the Strat, but I then decided, I was like, I think Mint's the way to go, like a classic Sonic Blue look. After settling on the spec, sold my Mayer signature Stratocaster to move on to getting a custom shop Strat and putting that money towards it. A Vibroverb ended up coming up that I really had wanted for a while, and I couldn't say no to buying it for the price I found it at. So I bought that. Then I kind of missed having a Strat when I only had the Silver Sky. And when I had the Silver Sky and the Fender Mayer signature, I only ever played the Silver Sky because I'm not at that point where I need multiple Strat style guitars. I just wanted one really good one and one that could really be my number one. And then, eventually maybe one in E flat or something like that. Not that I play in E flat often, but just it'd be nice to have, right? More guitars are always nice to have, but that was kind of the thought process. I just want one really good one. So I made the decision, sold the Silver Sky, which I never really talked about on the channel or Instagram even. It's kind of like a very hush-hush thing. And right away, I really started seriously, but even before then, I started actually like shopping around for a custom shop Strat. And there was a Wildwood 10 one that I was very close to buying. I was in talks with the guys at Wildwood because Wildwood 10, I trust that. Sorry, I just saw SVT, his comment, not much, just 3 hours. That's been a long stream. Ray, we'll do another one of these again if you don't want to go back and watch the whole thing. No one will blame me for that. Just talking about gear and answering your questions and also just hanging out. But sorry, so anyways, Wildwood 10 was in talks to buy one of those. Then you guys all know Tommy Guitars. No! Okay, I think you guys all can still hear me. I don't know why when my camera's plugged in. I don't know why when my camera's plugged in, it's not charging at the same time. I thought it would I thought it would charge when it was plugged in, and then I wouldn't have this issue of needing to change batteries. Anyone knows? We have a comment or something, so I can maybe figure this out for next time. But anyways, talk with them. Then Tommy and the chat with some of my friends. I was just asking their advice because where I'm from in Canada, buying custom shop Strats is very difficult. Really are never any around to try. I don't even know where the best dealer in all of Canada is for custom shop Strats because we don't really have any great stores. Staying in Edmonton, maybe. I think LA Guitars in Ontario. Maybe is another one. But anyways, I was just looking for friends' advice for buying custom shop Strat because I was kind of stressed because it's a big purchase to make when you don't really get the ability to have a lot of hands-on experience. I don't have any friends in town who have a custom shop Strat. So I was very much buying sight unseen, which with the 2-Rock, at least I knew what I was getting into and I was going to love it. But a Strat is like, theoretically, I knew what specs I wanted, but I didn't really know. So I was relying on all my friends who I trust to kind of help me gauge and figure out what I wanted to buy. Then Tommy messaged me separately being like, hey, he has owned one of the Sonic Blue John Cruz Masterbuilt Strats, the same one Mayer played that I've done a video on from the trio era. Tommy owned one of those original guitars and he sold it. And ever since he's been chasing the Sonic Blue thing again, but no guitar for him. Kind of Sonic Blue Strat at least ever will be that Masterbuilt Cruz one. So ever since I've known him for a few years now, he's had a handful of Sonic Blue Strats that he's loved, but it's never been the John Cruz guitar. So he's just sold them because he's like, I love these other Strats, I have more, and it's just not the Cruz. So it's just something about it that he doesn't ever want, or like it doesn't click and he doesn't stay. So he texted me and he was like, hey, I know you're after a Sonic Blue Strat with certain specs. I have one that I haven't even shown you guys just because I just bought it and then it's been sitting there. I haven't posted about it. I just bought it like a couple of weeks ago and I'm kind of like not sure, like he is with all of his Sonic Blue guitars, where he's like, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it. And so the absolute gem of a human he is, offered it to me at a really, really great price. The full friends and family thing. As just, he was just like, I'm just happy it's going to go to you and it's going to be if you want it, it'll be your first custom shop Strat, because he's been on quite a big custom shop journey with Stratocasters to get to the guitars he's had. He knows a lot about them. He's like, this guitar is great. It's a ringer. Just for him, it just wasn't the Cruz. And it's not, so he just, as you get, right? It's not the one you had. And, just trying to find a Sonic Blue that he eventually likes, as he just kind of, as people do, buy himself. You guys know what I'm saying. So after seeing this guitar, it was everything I wanted. I wanted, obviously, rosewood with clay dots, the right color of Sonic Blue that wasn't too white finished, that wasn't too like faded, but wasn't too dark. Pickups I didn't really care about because I'm just going to swap them out anyway. The same thing with the guard. I'm going to replace all that at some point. I wanted a bit of flame in the headstock. And okay, every time I show you guys, it looks like there's a lot of flame. But in real life, it doesn't look this flamey. But I wanted some flame in the neck. Not like an exotic or something like that where it's absurd. But I wanted some flame in the neck. Comfortable neck shape. Yada, 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 yada. And this was it. There was a 64 with the spaghetti logo, Beretta on flame, perfect Sonic Blue. And even Tommy had said it might be one of the best Sonic Blue actual like shades that he'd seen on a custom shop guitar. Anyways, yeah, he sold it to me. I was actually on my way to Los Angeles to be with the in-laws, and I was like, hey, do you mind shipping it to me in LA? Because I'm going to be down there for like 3 weeks. And then I can just have it there and then I'll ship it up myself. And, through ways of shipping things across yourself, try not to get dinged on customs with it and stuff like that. And, oh, what? No, I definitely didn't say this was a Squire or anything like that to bring across the border, which wasn't stressful at all. Definitely did not say that. Just save me some more money. Would have been a great thing to have done, but I definitely didn't do that. And yeah, so I had it in LA, opened it up, waited all day at the house while everyone else went out to do their own thing, and did the whole thing where you wait to open up the case and you take a deep breath and you open it up. And then it was amazing. Fell in love with the guitar. And then I shipped it back up to myself after the couple weeks. Gabe actually got to play it because I went over to his place and hung out with him. And if I ever do a video on it, I'll post it, or maybe I'll just post on Instagram the videos of Gabe playing it through his deluxe reverb that I got. He tried it out, which was really great to kind of, I had a guitar down there for him to check out and try. Yeah, that's it. I love this thing to death. Raw vintage springs in the back, which was a huge difference. Shout out again to Mod and Brian for convincing me to do that. Those made a huge difference in just the feel. I never would have thought in a million years springs would make a difference, but they definitely do. Want to do maybe Ron Ellis 64 pickups, 64 pickups, 2 in a 64 replica. Pretty good shout. And then a lighter mint guard slightly. And yeah, that's the story. The very long format of it. Hey, Gino, man. Sorry you missed a bunch of this. I'm sure we'll talk soon, dude. Yeah, long live the black one, man. I'll be thinking of you when you go to Chase Center. Hopefully you get to see it. I will do more of these. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in tonight. In 3 hours and 10 minutes went by super fast, and I hope it comes across. I really had a great time just chatting with you and hanging out. And I appreciate you all tuning in. I think 4:30 a.m. was the record for someone staying up late in this chat, which is insane. Yeah, appreciate you all. Hopefully you had a great time. Have a good evening. I'm gonna go eat and yeah, maybe game a little bit or something and chill. Thanks guys so much for tuning in. We'll talk soon. Comment down below if you want me to do one more of these again sometime soon, or keep doing them. I'll do that, and then maybe I'll upgrade and not have the watermark of StreamYard, but it's pretty expensive. And if I do it only a couple times a year, it's not really worth me paying the absurd money it is to get that watermark removed. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. Had a great night. We'll talk soon.